Well, good morning, good morning, good morning, good morning, good morning, and good morning, everybody. Good morning, everybody. Welcome to another episode of The Morning Glow. Welcome to another episode of The Morning Glow. Got a great broadcast down for you this morning, as I hope and I pray that we always do. Good morning, King. Good morning. Good to have you this morning. I'm just a question asker, man. We got a topic. This is Way Out Wednesday. You know what this is? Way Out Wednesday. This is a day where we come together and we open up the phone lines typically, and whatever you want to talk about, we'll talk about it and talk about it in its entirety. But today is just a little different. Now, we are going to talk about it. We are going to open up the phone lines, but we got a topic today, and it's an extension of what we talked about yesterday. We're going to talk about today systematic racism. Systematic racism is going to be our focal point for today. So, if you have any comments, if you know what it is, if you have any questions about what systematic racism is, please give us a call. 508-924-3521. 508-924-3521. Give us a call. We certainly love to have this conversation with you. Do you think it exists? Do you think it's a fragmentation of people's imagination? Is systematic racism? Is it a real thing? Give us a call. 508 see the phone line blowing up already. 508-924-3521. 508-924-3521. I got a clip that I'm going to play, but I'm gonna wait till a few more people get in. I'm gonna play the clip. But right now, I want to go to Mr. Hicks. Mr. Hicks, good morning. How you doing this morning?
Good morning, Raheem, Glow family. Good morning.
Mr. Hicks, we talking, we said we was gonna talk about this today and talk about it in its entirety. Systematic racism. Systematic racism. Is it a real thing, Mr. Hicks?
Oh yes, sure it is. It's ingrained in the it's ingrained in the thoughts and belief of the originators.
Mm.
And I'm not talking about the what you call our founding fathers, because
Mm-hmm.
you look at their lives. It's sort of interesting that George Washington had an opportunity to become king, and he didn't.
Mm-hmm.
And he's raised in the colonial empire with slaves, being serviced by them all his life. Same thing with most of them, but they still saw, in essence, uh, the uh, the fallacy of slavery.
Mm-hmm.
But they realized they couldn't push for it, and at the same time to get a United States, because
Mm-hmm.
as far as independent states being formed, there would be war. There would be war. There was no. There's no way to be independent and with the concepts of the time of taking over land
Mm-hmm.
and expanding it. But systemic racism is there. But I think when you look at the annals of history, it was the British Empire that put it, even though it wasn't totally true, but they put it into slavery in Britain, and it expanded here. So within 100 years, legally, uh, the concept of slavery was abolished,
Mm-hmm.
which led to the war between the states and a lot of death and a lot of suffering. And I think that's part of the process.
Mm-hmm.
It's the systemic racism. It's systemic and systematic racism now. I'm 73, so I remember a time where it was obvious. It was above board. There
Mm-hmm.
was no such thing. It was accepted to be discriminatory and racist. So over the annals of time, you got to look and see that, yeah, it's being exposed, and it's a difficult thing to deal with. But it takes us, the people that are oppressed with it, to become conscious of it. But
Mm-hmm.
yes, systemic racism definitely exists.
Okay. Good deal. Good deal. got a few other people that's called into the phone lines, and I'm expecting the whole cast and the whole crew to be in here today, man, because we're gonna talk about this thing
Yes, sir.
and really buckle down on this thing. The next person to call in is Curtis. Curtis, good morning. How you doing this morning?
Good morning, Robbie.
Good morning, Kurt.
Curtis, we
Hey, Dex, how you doing, brother?
I'm doing fine, brother. Wait to hear what you say. I want to see your thought, how God put them into different thoughts in all of us.
Yes,
Yours
sir.
is always inspiring, interesting for me.
Amen.
Good deal. Kurt, we're talking about systematic. Our conversation is going to be based today on systematic. Somebody got some background noise going on back there, so I don't know what that is. But our conversation today is based on systematic racism. Systematic racism. Curtis, is that a fragmentation of our imagination? Is it really real? Does it really exist? What is systematic racism, Curtis?
Yeah, that's real easy. I'll keep going 1 minute.
Mm-hmm.
It's just set up to what's the word I'm looking for? It is a system set up to oppress particular group and or culture in a given society. It's a system set up to oppress a given group and or culture in a given society. That's the easiest way to break it down.
Okay, let's deal with that part of what you just said of specific. Now we know the answer, but for the sake of the conversation, for the sake of the listeners, who is that individual? Who are the individuals that is systematically positioned to hold back? So that's what it does, hold individuals back. Who are the people that we're talking about?
I forget we're in 58 other countries.
Yes, sir.
Okay, it ain't just going on here either.
Mm-hmm.
Here, the African American population, period. Ain't no ifs, ands, buts about.
Mm-hmm.
People can say we ain't, people can lie, trying, shucking jobs and all that. Come on, tell us this. We're gonna tell a spade like a spade. We're gonna call a spade a spade.
Mm-hmm.
In this country, in the United States of America, there is a systematic system of racism to hold the African American community from any progress, and what progress that is made, it is extremely marginal. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
But it don't just happen here.
Mm-hmm.
It happens in other countries.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
You can best believe it happens in other countries. I just did a play called well, not just did a play, but maybe, matter of fact, just coming out of the pandemic, just when we first got got able to really move about. What's that? 2 years? Well, it's been a year now.
Mm-hmm.
I did a play called Red Rabbit, White Rabbit, Red Rabbit, and it was about basically, in so many words, the possibility of systematic racism going on in Iran.
Mm.
You know, Puerto Rico has a level of systematic racism between light-skinned Puerto Ricans and dark-skinned Puerto Ricans.
Mm-hmm. Exactly.
But in this country, this is foul. This is beyond foul. This is no.
Mm-hmm. Say it again, Curtis. We have some issues.
No, I said, but here I was trying to wrap it up, man, because I didn't want to take up too much time.
Good deal.
I said, but here in this country, man, I said this is foul.
Mm-hmm.
This is beyond.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Absolutely.
I'm just gonna be honest with you. Things that we are seeing right now.
Hey, Curtis, you must be on speaker or something, man. You sound, Curtis.
Right here, can you hear me?
Yeah, but it sounds real. It sounds like real muffled, like you're in a box or something. I don't know if you're on speaker or Bluetooth or something, but it sounds it doesn't sound good.
No, it was It's just because my phone was switching.
Okay.
What we going through right now, brother, what we saying right now, I'm just going to be honest with you, man. The founding fathers have not only turned over their grave, but they have put their knees up under their chest and stuck their booties in the air, telling all of these leaders to kiss my entire.
Asbestos. Let's keep it
Man,
clean.
This is depressing.
Let's keep this thing moving. Absolutely. Let's keep Mary. I know this is a topic you may not be able to comment on this topic. Mary, can you talk about it? And good morning. How you doing this morning? Mary?
Good morning. How are you?
I am doing well. We talking about systematic racism. Can you talk about that?
I can't talk about that.
Okay. Hold on. I'm trying to figure out a way to get you in here where you can make a comment or two and it not be in a bad or negative way. But let me go. We got some more people here. We got Toussaint. Good morning, sir. How you doing this morning?
I'm okay. Good morning.
Good morning, sir. We asked the question, Toussaint. We asked the question, what is systematic racism? Does it exist, or is it just a fragmentation of our imagination? Is it something them black folks just coming up with something playing a race card again? Is that what this is? Systematic racism?
No, I don't think it is, man. I mean, I've seen some stuff in my days, my little few days. I've seen it. I mean, I wonder if you have some, just using this for just a thought. You go by a house and your neighbor that may be of another nationality buy a house. They built the same in the same neighborhood. I wonder whose house you think will be worth more. I just wonder. The educational system that we got. Who discovered America when it was already here? Go try to get you a loan or something like that, and the process is different. What about the prison system? Pick what you want. Even your religion. They have used it. I can hear those songs. Ringing in the sheen, ringing in the sheen. And then they say, we're gonna y'all come on after service, we're gonna hang one of them. And so anyway, it's not a figment of nobody's imagination. It's real.
Wow.
It's just that it's pushed down to now what they don't want to call it slavery and all no more. Why is that? What's the problem?
Yeah. What are you hiding from?
If that's what it is, now you want to change the wording, use the word game on it. I'm just saying.
Exactly.
I'm like Mary. I don't talk about too much. For different reasons.
508-924-3521. 508-924-3521. We got a few people that actually just came on. What I want to do right now, because I wanted to make sure everybody was a lot of people was here. I'm gonna play the clip that we started this conversation on with yesterday, and then we're gonna come back. We're gonna visit a few more people, and we're gonna have this conversation talking about systematic racism. I got to tell y'all, this bless you. This is grown folk conversation today. This is grown folk talk. So if you're gonna come, be prepared. Grown folk conversation. We're having grown folk talk today, talking about a grown folk topic. This is systematic racism is what we're talking about today. So listen at the clip, and we're gonna come right back on the other side and continue this conversation. The phone lines are open 508-924-3521. 508-924-3521.
You might think racism in the US is really a case of a few bad apples. A racist cop here, a so-called Karen there, a leader of a white supremacist group. You know, people who deliberately hate. But we can't blame racism in America on just a few bad apples. Think of our nation's problem as more like an apple pie, with the racial injustice baked right into every aspect of our society. Meet Ebony and Emily, two American babies, one black, one white, born at the same time, same place, but Ebony will not get an equal slice of the pie, and that starts from birth. Because of her race, Ebony is 3 times more likely than Emily to die in the hospital as a newborn if her doctor is white. And once Ebony and Emily go to school, while both girls occasionally misbehave, studies show they won't face the same punishment. Ebony is 7 times more likely than Emily to be suspended, and 4 times more likely to be arrested on campus. When the 2 girls grow up and apply for jobs, odds are fewer employers will call Ebony back because she has a black-sounding name. And even though Emily and Ebony will get the same college degree, once Ebony is hired statistically as a black person, she'll make an average of 25% less than Emily. So why didn't Ebony get an equal slice of that apple pie? It's because systemic racism is built into our country's DNA. In the 17th and 18th centuries, wealthy white men needed land, so they took it from indigenous people and then forced blacks into slavery. To justify using blacks for free labor, the whites in power promoted a myth that blacks were inferior. And as Seattle-based author Ijeoma Oluo points out, our nation's institutions, politics, and policies were designed against the backdrop of that money-driven lie that black people just weren't as worthy or as capable as whites.
Our school systems were built around this, our economic systems are built around this, our government systems were built around this. And it is simply that things were designed to uphold this story, to uphold this exploitation.
And even though slavery ended here more than 150 years ago, the racism that fueled it persists in systemic ways today. White Americans now hold 85% of this country's wealth. Black Americans, just over 4%, and Hispanics, just over 3%. People of color, people like Ebony, are statistically more likely to be impoverished, incarcerated, and face discrimination in healthcare. Emily may have her own barriers in life, but her skin color won't be one of them.
It's not someone said, here's your wealth because you're white, here's your status because you're white. It simply means that the barriers that we placed in front of people of color were not placed in front of you. Now you may have a whole nother set of barriers, right? You may have barriers of disability, barriers of class, barriers of immigration status, so many other barriers that were placed in front of you. But acknowledging privilege is simply acknowledging if we also took that other set of barriers that we place in front of people of color, you would stumble even further.
So even though you may not consider yourself a bad apple, a racist cop, a so-called Karen, or a member of an extremist group, Oluo says you may have played a role, even if you have the best intentions.
Instead of this whole, let's all learn to be best friends and love each other, you can love someone of a different race and ethnicity and still actively participate in their oppression based on how you vote, based on what you bring up in your office meetings, even based on where you spend your money.
It's not too late to change the recipe of the most American apple pie.
Wow. It's not too late to change the recipe of this apple pie.
Helen Hansel.
Toya with a T. Good morning. How you doing this morning?
Good morning. Good morning. How y'all doing?
Hey, doing good, doing good. Toy, you know, we're going to talk about systematic racism today. This is going to be the basis of our whole conversation today, based on that video and other experiences that we've had individually and collectively. What did you? I'm asking the question. We started yesterday with that clip, but now that you heard it a second time, what did you hear from that clip?
I mean, the truth. The things that we've always been saying that this seemed like white folks didn't want to say. Nobody wanted to acknowledge it. That was just how it was. Oh, you're a Negro, and there's nothing you can do. And not, what do you mean institutionalized racism? Nuh-uh. That's just what comes with being a Negro. That was the truth, basically, in a nutshell. There was a letter. I'm watching this episode called Watchmen. It's a great.
Oh, we lost Toya. Hopefully we'll get her back in here. Hopefully we'll get her back in here. Rico, good morning, sir. How you doing this morning?
Man, I can't complain, man. I'm just glad to see another beautiful day. How y'all doing, man?
Hey, doing good, doing good. We talked about this thing called systematic racism. We started it yesterday. We said we're gonna dedicate the whole broadcast today on systematic racism. Are we wasting our time? Are we talking about something that's fictitious? Are we talking about something are we dedicating the show to something that's not real? What do you say to that?
Well, that's the reason why it exists, because people don't want to acknowledge it and talk about it.
Mm-hmm.
But first off, this is what we got to do. I brought this up yesterday. You have systemic racism and you have systematic racism.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Now that video was on systemic racism.
Systemic racism, yeah.
So we gotta make sure we clarify which one we're talking about, because she said some key things in that video. The same thing that Dr. Francis Chris Wilson said. Mm-hmm. It's embedded in our DNA.
Mm-hmm.
In all aspects of our people activity, education, economics, you know what I'm saying? You name it. It's embedded in it, but it's unconscious and it's unnatural.
Mm-hmm.
So imagine something unnatural being embedded into your DNA. That's a bacteria.
Mm-hmm. Wow.
So we are infected by a bacteria that has unconsciously created a way of life, an unnatural thought process that morphed into that just the way it is.
Mm-hmm.
So you know what's really amazing is when you speak to a white person that doesn't realize something was racist, and then when you break it down to them, they're like, wow, you're right. Because they see it through my eyes.
Mm-hmm.
But see, some people never really even understand that it still exists, because unconsciously, the only experience they have is theirs. It's hard for them to relate to another person, what they're going through, and see their point of view. And so this privilege and this entitlement might be ignored, and they can listen to whatever reason and as to why things are the way that they are, without understanding the conditions that created it. Mm-hmm. So, you know, that's an infection that people don't understand when they have white privilege. Some understand they have it, some don't.
Mm-hmm.
But the thing is that, you know, we do have to acknowledge it and talk about it. We have to understand that there is a competition. The reason why it does exist from the very beginning, there's a competition. And the minute we realize there's a tribe of people, a species of people, a certain species that they have designated, as soon as we realize that it exists, then we can identify it and work on it better on our end, unite, because it's going to take unity to even fight or even compete in this created competition for resources, or just for equal rights. Exactly. But I think, man, this is, like I said, it's a very necessary conversation. We're not wasting our time. It's overdue. You know, we talk about people dropping the ball. We did drop the ball in the past, because I saw a generation of our youth in the last 10 or 15 years that was saying that racism didn't exist. It was just us older black people that were stuck on that stuff. And then they had a reality check.
Mm-hmm. Exactly.
They had a reality check that just kept happening month after month after month after month. Young black men that looked just like them dying at the hands of white people. They're like, wait a minute.
Mm-hmm.
It is still around. Y'all wouldn't lie, because they didn't see how subtle it was. They didn't recognize how unconscious it could happen. They really just, you know, I don't know what made them distracted, but I think some of it was from us, and then some of it was from the fun and entertainment that they were having.
Good
that
deal.
made them not realize it still existed. But now we know that it's still here.
Good deal.
And now we got to talk about it and make a better recipe.
Absolutely, absolutely. Let me go back to Toya with a T. We got disconnected there. I want to make sure that she's able to finish her thought. Toya with a T, what's on your heart, sis?
Yeah, appreciate that. So yeah, I just sent you a clip of a letter that they sent some black soldiers over here back in the day. And the letter was expressing why y'all want to fight the Germans. I know them white people told you that we should be wiped out, but we never done nothing to you. All the things y'all go through, why are you listening to the white folks tell you to come slaughter us? That was a real letter. I had to look it up.
Wow.
That was a real letter. I had to look it up. And whatever this, like Rico said, I freaking love Rico. He said bacteria, because we've been saying spells and incantations. But he's right, It's an infection. It's an infection of wickedness that's always been in the hearts of humans. I ain't even gonna give white folk all that power no more, because the book and the research said black folk were first. They came from us. And humans always had slaves. We always abused slaves. Just think about the Pharaoh. This is what we do. We're wicked like that. However, time has turned, and this particular set of humans was more atrocious than others. And that's where the issue come at. And now it's still affecting people. So this coming out to the surface is just like when Ike beat Tina, and everybody knew that, and she finally rose up and beat him back with that boot. This is the beat America back with the boot season. I'm just throwing it out there. This is a time where everybody acknowledge it, even white people, right? As I deal with young people, we haven't taught young people anything, but we told them what to do. That's why we told them that it didn't exist no more. We told them, oh, just look forward, just go ahead. And that wasn't true. It was a lot of lies that some of us had casted upon us, versus where my generation, we knew it was there, but we were still taught to fight and don't let nothing stop you. You know what I mean? No matter what. Yeah, it's true. Yeah, they out there. They're going to be men, women, black, white, green, and you need to be strong enough to be able to withstand it. You know what I'm saying? However, since we're talking about this specific issue with black people and white America, it's because we still can't get ahead. We still can't, no matter what we do, no matter what loops we jump through, y'all still coming full force. And again, if y'all watch this movie, Watchmen, it's a really great movie, and it's a really great depiction on how Oklahoma police and things of that nature are trying to fight the actual so-called spirit of white supremacy that they know is everywhere. Like you're not gonna be able to get rid of white supremacy. You know what I mean? Like you're not like roaches. You're not gonna get rid of people who hate black people, who want to kill the world and will kill any white, Chinese, Mexican, or Latino that step in their way, because that's just the devils that they are. But this conversation is what we use to weed them out. You understand what I'm saying? This conversation is what we need to acknowledge to stop the abuse. Because if you don't know you're being abused, if you think that's the way of life, you're just going to keep on going. But we're being inhumane. So this topic of conversation, not only for one, is the proof and the evidence, but I feel like, this is where a special task force or department, because that's what the United States do, right? They form special task forces or departments to be able to solve these issues and crimes. And that's where we're headed. But us, the people, we can't waver now. We can't waver with voting, and we can't waver with our rights. So this conversation, like Rico said, needs to be had. We have to come up with an antidote for this bacteria, and that is going to be requiring us to fight back. And we have to keep that in mind, because this right here, this is some deep topics, and this is going to unravel a lot of our ancestral ways and a lot of things that's been going on in just black people's lives. And this is what we need to break the curse. We just have to be free from it. And I just think it's time.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And my thing is, I'm gonna be real tough today on the 3 minute, because I know this is real passionate. I've got a lot of people that want to say a lot of different things. And so y'all work with me with that, and don't be offended if I say 3 minutes, we got to move on. Please don't be offended, because like I said, I know we got a lot of people in here already. I know more people are gonna call in. So let me go to our goddess. Goddess, good morning. How you doing this morning?
Good morning. I'm doing just fine. I see we got some good topics going on. I see my sister Toya and Rico Pico James is throwing down too. So
You
I have to get in the conversation.
you call that man LeBron James' cousin. You call him Rico James. Renamed him, man. Lord Jesus. Okay. But what we're talking about today is systematic racism. And I played a clip earlier. I don't know if you heard the clip, but I played a clip earlier where she was pointing out some different things about this thing. But my thing to you is, Goddess, do you think are we wasting our time? Is this something that's real? Is systematic racism something that's real, or is it just the black people playing that black card again? What do you say to that?
Systematic racism is totally real. Look at what's going on with the ARPA money.
Mm-hmm.
There's a section in the ARPA money right now that states that money is supposed to go to Black and brown, low-income families, businesses, and anybody. And there's a section in there that says if you represent Black and brown, then you are able to get the money. Each state was sent $87 million. I'm sitting up here looking at right now that how our Black and brown communities is not getting that money because we weren't told how to get the money.
Mm-hmm.
Our own people are blocking us and not telling us what we need to do to get the money.
What money is that again, sis? Put that back out there again.
It's called the ARPA money. That was the money that let me see if I can send it to. I don't know how to do that.
Send it to
I
me.
can send it to Rico. Rico, can you put it out there? Rico, did I get lost?
No. We still hear you. We still hear you.
No, I'm trying to get this mute down. What was you saying now?
I said I can send it to you, and then maybe you can get it to them. It's the ARPA money.
I try to put it in the message and send it to them.
Yeah, and it's in part of the ARPA money. I mean, the ARPA money states that this money is supposed to go to Black and brown communities, businesses, housing, all that. But it's not being applied correctly the way it should be applied.
Okay.
Our Black businesses are not getting the funds.
Mm-hmm.
They're giving us maybe 10,000, but we're not getting the millions that everybody else is getting.
Mm-hmm. Wow.
And that's going on here today. What is it? 2022.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
They still now developing, looking at it's called the CRA Act.
Mm-hmm.
Where the banks didn't fund people in Black communities in certain areas, and they're supposed to come out and do certain things for us. So that's the CRA Act.
Mm-hmm.
I just know on the financial level, our redlining. There's redlining issues all over each state.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Let me tell you what's happening now.
30 seconds.
And what I'm fighting now is our Black historical things where we're trying to save our Black treasurers.
Mm-hmm.
Just look at Harlem. And what they're doing is once they get the funding, they're trying to save the Black treasures. What they're doing is they're moving in all the white people in the Black areas.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Hold right
so they
there.
can enjoy our history.
Exactly. Hold right there, sister. I gotta keep it moving. Like I said, I'm gonna be real stickler on the 3-minute thing today. So stay right there. Don't you go nowhere. We're gonna keep this thing moving. We're gonna come back to you. Mr. Hicks, what's on your heart, sir?
Yes, sir. I'm trying to keep it short. When I came back from overseas as a young man, I became a Marxist. I read all the literature, and I believed it that way. And I just realized that when you're getting information, critical allowance on what is their purpose, what are they trying to say, what are they trying to guide me to think. But when I think a lot of people here probably need to read the Communist Manifesto and then go back to Darwin's theory of evolution. And then you took it out with read a little bit what Thomas Sowell said to give you a different kind of perspective. But But yeah, it's easy to look at all what's gone bad in our spot, and I get with that. But I look back over the annals of history and what was happening before this experiment in America, before this first time that we had a position to rule ourselves, not by kings and popes and all that stuff. That's right here. But that's it, bro. I'm gonna give everybody else a chance. But if I can suggest something, go read the Communist Manifesto, then you can see which direction this country is going. With a rotation of the moral basis that's based in Christianity, and that's whether you want to accept it or not. The very core of that is what made this change in the world. But it's bad. But I've seen worse.
Wow. Good deal. Curtis, talk to me, brother.
Next time, come out, let you talk.
Mute your line, Mr. Hicks. Mute your line for me, sir. Curtis, what's on your heart?
Yes, I'm trying.
Well, yeah, Sid just said something, right? That really resonates with me, right? Is if you want to look at systematic racism, right? She just said, right, that basically they're allowing for their folks, they put this money out there, right? And their folks are given the opportunity to take advantage of that very same money that ain't even laid out there for them, right? That's how they doing what they're doing. Listen, I'm telling y'all. Now, I told y'all a long time ago. I said, yo, this is going to go down in history as the largest robbery in the history of the world. We just saw where they just supposedly captured $286 billion that was stolen from PPP money, right? Tell me how many action news reports did we see when PPP money came out and was established to help folks? How many news reports did we see where these small minority-owned companies were saying, hey, we didn't get any of this money? So where'd they recoup this money from? These fraudulent, supposedly the money was recouped from people filing fraudulent claims so that they could get PPP money. Our former president had a homeboy that took $91 billion and told him, I'm not paying nobody nothing. They can all be laid off. I'm going to put the money in the bank and I'm going to go with the rule that say, if after 2 years, I do not spend 75% of this money on salaries and I have to pay it back. So he took $91 billion and put it in the bank account. And his plan is to let it sit there for 2 years, earn all the interest that we could actually earn, that he could actually earn, and then turn around and just give him the $91 billion back. He just made billions of dollars just off of just letting this set in an account.
Exactly.
Here it is.
30 seconds.
Here it is.
Go ahead, Curtis.
Here it is. Your black-owned, your minority-owned businesses couldn't even get approved for anywhere near that kind of money.
Wow.
You see what I'm saying? Redlining is real. This is one of the premier hubs of redlining. Baltimore City was one of the premier hubs of redlining. Baltimore and Atlanta.
Keep it right there, Curtis. We got to keep it moving, man. We at the 3 minute right now. I got to keep this thing moving. Let me go to Rico. Talk to me, brother. What's on your heart? And I need y'all to really talk to me, man. We're talking about systematic racism, man. Let's have this real conversation. Let's really talk this morning. Rico, what's on your heart?
Yeah. I'm gonna say it again. I'm speaking on systemic racism.
Yeah, I keep saying it wrong. Systemic. I keep saying it wrong. I keep saying it wrong. Yeah,
I'm
go
just
ahead.
being funny,
Y'all know,
man.
y'all look, y'all know what I mean, though. Go ahead. I'm starting.
You know, the thing is, man, I don't know if I'm gonna talk long. I think I want to do more listening because I want to hear the psychology in the process of the conversation.
Mm-hmm.
But hopefully, in this thing, I think, to me, the best thing for us to try to do, or I want to get out of this, is getting people to understand that systemic racism exists and how it exists, what it is. It's anti-Black racism.
Yeah, yeah.
And like I said earlier, Dr. Frances Cress Wilson, she explained it best. It affects all aspects of people activity. Education, economics, entertainment, love, labor, politics, religion, sex, war, passport, everything. It affects every part of our existence, and some people don't even realize it unconsciously or subconsciously, subvertly affects these things, all of our people activity. So then once we understand, or get people to understand that, you know, you have people that do tests, like Dr. James that did the test with the Black dolls and the white dolls. Or you have the video I sent you where they had, listen, not just white teachers, but also Black female teachers, Black teachers too. That you remember they set 4 children down.
Exactly.
White girl, white boy, Black girl, Black boy. Said, we want you to watch all these children to see any instances of misbehavior. And all of the teachers, even the Black ones, for some reason kept their eyes on the little Black boys. Like I said, you know, that the video you played mentioned the Black girl, but man, it's probably 2 or 3 times as rough for young Black males.
Absolutely.
Young Black babies.
Absolutely.
So, you know, this condition that exists, we have to make sure we focus on breaking down and showing how it exists in all these different aspects of our existence, and then finding a way to cure it or get that infection out of our heads that we didn't realize existed because it's so covert. See, it ain't as overt as it used to be. It's more mental and psychological.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? It affects economics. You know, most people think economics is the cause of it. Now, economics is just another tool.
Exactly.
But that anti-Black racism, it goes way deeper than what we understand. And to some people, they don't think it exists. They just think that we choose to be the way that we are. They don't understand the system. See, once we understand that this is really a system that exists and it evolves and it keeps existing because certain people need it to exist, then we can fight it better. But right now, you got a lot of people in denial and they're distracted. Right now, I'm battling people that's mad about a high school football rivalry. Other Black people that look just like me.
Wow.
They're divided by a high school football rivalry.
Exactly. Hold right there, Rico. Hold right there. I got to keep this thing moving. Let me go to Toya with a T. Toya with a T. In the clip, the young lady was explaining that, and you being a young, educated Black woman, she was saying that in the clip, you and Emily, you being Ebony in this particular instance, you get a job with the same credentials.
Yep.
But you will make 25% less than Emily. Tori, how does that make you feel?
I believe it. It's made me feel the way we are. I've always felt. I've always known that. I told you yesterday. I saw what happened because they're gonna pay Bob 45% more than me and Emily. So Emily finna fooling with me because she angry too. Angry gonna be want to be mad because Bob make more than her, and Bob make her do this, so she gonna make me do this because that's how it go, and it's true, and it's always, been like that. I was just looking up something else, right? So Stokely Carmichael, these 2 guys that wrote Black Power, he came up with the word institutional racism first, and now they took it and changed it to systemic. See how they do?
Yeah.
You see how they do? That's how they do, and we do it too. It's so subconscious. It's so now a part of a DNA as human beings. We all do it, and the bacteria is so bad. It's like COVID. It went global because even Chinese act like that towards Black people. Other races all over the world got the tendency to want to act like that towards Black folks, and it's still going on today. To record, there are 40 million slaves right now on this globe. Right now on this globe, and the vast majority of them are still Black.
Mm-hmm.
So it's true, you know what I'm saying? And now they're telling the truth in our face, and this is what makes me cringe, right? Because now you're waving this truth in my face like I'm not gonna do nothing about it. You got the wrong black girl over here.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? That's how that became my drive now, because I was a part of this. Oh, why go to school and learn their information and do this? No, I need to go to school because I need to know how they play the game. So now I'm gonna flip the game on them. That was my main purpose of going back to college, because I need to understand, okay, how does this system go? Oh, okay, so this is what it does. Okay, let me get my PhD too, so I can start writing some things, throwing it out there too. You understand what I'm saying? So now that I'm learning this system, I know the system is going to crumble, and I want to be a part of taking the system back from them, of creating a new system, because it's true. I don't want to do more work, and I'm going through this right now. One of my bosses, I work more harder here, at least with black people, more harder here than the other two, and you pay less. I'm going to have to make a change. I'm gonna have to make a change. You understand what I'm saying? So this is a cycle and something that we go through all the time. And we have to, again, wake up people, whatever color you are. This is an American bacteria, an American infection. This is not just for black people.
Yeah.
You understand what I'm saying? So we have to start to build our own. You know, we have to stop working as hard for other people and not willing to do it for ourselves. It's like, what do we have to lose, America? You understand what I'm saying? So a part of fighting back this bacteria is that, first of all, don't isolate it and think it's just for black people, because you're getting done too. Right? Just because you got more crumbs don't mean it's not happening to you. We're a part of this system, and in order to break free, we literally have to break free. That means no taxes, that means govern our own, that means make our own, that means take our own and take care of it and cultivate it. You know what I mean? So again, this is a deep subject. For one, I don't even think America is ready for. I don't even think a lot of us are ready, because this is setting the slaves free part 2. You know, a lot of us didn't want to be set free back then. So this is part 2. Do we really want to be set free? And God has said something earlier. Yes, there are a lot of house Negroes that were in between us getting them 40 acres and that money. You know what I'm saying? So again, this bacteria, it runs deep. It's in the blood, and we got to figure out how to cure it. And the only cure is to create our own.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Let me go to Mr. Hicks, then I'm going to come back to God. Mr. Hicks, what's on your heart? Mr. Hicks, you have somebody in the car that want to say something as well?
Looking back at history, you see when you study about the Chinese, the Italian, the Irishmen, all of these people came to this country, went through what you would call systemic. And systemic really is talking about a system. Systemic is talking about the same thing. It's a play on words. But systemic goes back to the very beginning. In the very beginning of this whole confusion we have is going to resolve in maybe another 1,000 years, is undermining and destroying Darwin's theory of evolution and the favored races. That's the full title. Once you understand that, you understand that this came about in the early 15th and 16th centuries, when people were coming from Europe to establish this thing. A lot of those we would classify now as black folks, but they wasn't classified as being black. Even in the war between the states, there was many people that we would call black, again, fought on the other side, because they bought into the system. The economics is they got freedom and they got slaves. The Indians got beat down by the army, they got slaves. So I think that if you look at one side of this coin, if you look at that particular thing, that why this happened specifically just to us, it didn't happen just to us. It was all people that didn't own land. If you wasn't a landowner, you were white. That's why they created whiteness, to give the poor white people that kind of feeling that, okay, we ain't got nothing, but we're over them. We're better than them. And it crushed the unity that they began to organize. Yes, sir. I thought you tried to say something, bro.
Go ahead, sir.
I think that, again, when I began to learn the history, and I was reading with people around me wasn't reading and understanding things, maybe always stood out, that I couldn't understand people being a victim. As a person, as an individual, we are built to overcome things. That's what the Creator put inside of everyone's heart and their chest. No matter what the situation is, you got to personalize it. It's all personal. You want to do things collectively. It ain't going to be done collectively. It's one person inside of themselves realizing a different reality and reacting out of love, not out of anger, hate, but understanding that it's not personal. Even though we feel it personally.
30 seconds.
We just, yes.
No, go ahead. Finish. No, finish your thoughts, sir.
You know, I mean, can you imagine coming out with getting military training, how to use weapons, and do with a psychology and a belief that I'm a person, I got to go out here and fight somebody, I got to kill somebody, I got to get guns to do it. We're gonna take guns to do this thing. It's throughout the history. I've learned this. When you fight an enemy and you have to fight him on his ground, you become just the beast that he is. And when you take over, you become the same beast. We can see it all the way through the colonies of Africa when we got our liberty in different countries in Africa. We oppressed our own people. So there's something happening in the heart of man that has to be checked. And that can only be done when you look at the physical, but then you got to turn and look at the spiritual. Where did this come from? Why is this happening?
Good deal. Good deal. Stay right there, sir. We gotta keep this thing moving. I'm gonna go to Godless. But I want to throw something out there from what you just said. It's amazing how Nat Turner was a hero when he was doing it with the way they wanted him to do it. But when he had a change of heart, he became a villain. It's kind of amazing. Godless, what's on your heart?
I don't know about them, but he could be more villain than me. So, but what I will say is, y'all need to recognize there's a difference between human and mankind. And I ain't gonna go no further than that. If you don't know the difference between human and mankind, you might want to look that up, okay? Because the Bible does speak about it. Another thing is that we need to recognize the fact about what's going on here today and start waking up when we start making our certain choices, because our DNA has always been an issue and always a problem, but it's always been, and I ain't gonna never say problem, I don't mean it like that. It's always been a blessing. And we're another person, because that's what they want. They want our DNA. They want our melanin. And until we wake up and realize that and become as a unified group, it's our melanin that makes us who we are. And that's what they want. Look it up. Melanin is worth more than gold. Melanin is what gives us everything, all the way down to the divine spiritual nature of God. In Genesis, it tells you that about our pineal gland and how we have the divine power within ourselves to see God. We can talk to God. That's what we have. And until we realize that, we're going to always be targeted. And they're going to always not want us because we got an upper hand with God. That's all I got to say.
Good deal. Good deal. Rico, what's on your heart, brother?
Yeah, man. Once again, like I said, I just want to, get to crawling before we walk. Because some things could be so complicated and some so deep that, people run away from it. So you have to feed them with a baby spoon. And sometimes feeding them with that baby spoon, you have to just sit them down and show them the simple things that reflect racism that they don't understand is racism. Like I said, it ain't just white people that need to understand that systemic racism exists. You got a lot of black people that need to see it. I mean, come on, man. We got black people that feel like, man, it ain't no reason for black people to be in the condition that they're in. We got a lot of black women that say, ain't no reason for no black man to be out here broke. With all these opportunities, they forget about the system. They forget about the system and the purpose. Maybe we can give the women more opportunities and advantages and benefits. At the same time, suppressing the black people, even more the black man. We don't give him nothing. See, we still forget that when he come to this job, for this interview, even though his opportunity is out there, he going in there looking at that opportunity or looking for that opportunity as the same black man that they've been trying to suppress. So he might not get the job. So if he get it, he might have to tap dance. Ooh, yes, the boss, I love you, boss. I tell on everybody, boss, I snitch on everybody, boss, I love me some you.
Or put on that dress, Rico.
Oh man, dude, sell out. But you a sorry black man. These sorry black men. Man, black men still got the same struggle, the same system, the same systemic racism that exists. We fight it in a whole nother way. And it has mentally broken some people. It has mentally broken us to the fact that point that we don't even know how to stick together to raise families anymore. Our standards and values have gone so far out the window that we don't even know how to begin start back trying to unite. So we subdivided and fractured amongst our own. We don't understand the purpose. We're abusing sex. We're making money so we can spend money. That is our whole value system. It is right. If it makes money, it makes sense. Our standards and values have changed in this system, trying to survive in it, not realizing we needed to compete. And what it took to compete was a logical nuclear family with the mindset of trying to overturn this thing. Instead of realizing, instead of thinking, hey, we done made it. So you can tell that's what happened at a certain point in time. Black people got comfortable and they thought they made it and they joined in on the rat race.
Exactly. Let me give the number 508-924-3521, 508-924-3521. Curtis, let me ask you this question. Excuse me. Let me ask you this question, Curtis. If you are in a group of people and half black, half white, okay? And all of y'all are friendly. All of y'all are very friendly. Maybe y'all work together, co-workers, friends, have been knowing each other for a long time, or whatever the case. And they ask you, one of your white counterparts asks you, Curtis, what is systemic racism? What is everybody? Y'all okay? What?
Right, I can't understand nothing you saying, bro.
What you mean? You can't hear me?
No, your call is coming in and going out, coming in and going out.
Okay, I'm hearing background noise on your end. Do you have me on speaker? You have me on speaker or something? Because I'm hearing background like your windows are down or something. And so, Rico, can you hear what I'm saying? Hold on. Rico, can you hear what I'm saying?
Yeah, like he outside or something.
Yeah, but can y'all understand? Can y'all understand what I'm saying?
I hear you.
Okay.
Yes, I hear you.
Curtis, there's something on your end, brother. There's something on your end. Everybody else can hear me, so it's something on your end. But let me.
I can hear you. It just sound like you going in and out.
That's what I'm saying. It's something on your end because everybody else hear me clearly, so it's something on your end. But But let me ask you this. Let me ask you this. Can you hear me? Can you make out what I'm saying, brother? Do I need to go to somebody else?
Yeah. Go to somebody else.
Okay.
Right.
Toya with a T, let me ask you this question. You're in the same scenario. You're out with a group of your friends, and black and white, all y'all together having a good time. And one of your friends come to you, your Caucasian friends come to you and say, what is systemic racism? Do you feel the need to even have to explain that if they came to you, maybe they're interested, maybe they're being funny or whatever the case? Do you feel the need to explain that to them?
Well, you know me, I'm telling you the T, so I don't mind, but I'm gonna do all the emotions you just said. I'm like, are you for real?
Yeah.
You not for real right now. Well, yeah, but that's possible in life, right? Because you can just be talking over this child their entire life and never explain to this white child what it is. And a lot of us walk around because it's in the air, but no one ever actually had a conversation with you on what it is. And it's still just an assumption because they don't teach that in school. And that's what we need to be careful of when we raise kids. A lot of us talk things in the air and they should know. But did you ever have a conversation or show them how to do such a thing? If you did not, you can't assume that they know. So I will go. You know what I'm saying? You know where I'm coming from when I say that, though? Yes. You know what I'm saying? So once you look at me and I see you're for real, then I'm going to explain to you, listen, as a black female, I'm probably paid 30% less than you and 50% less than your counterpart, equally. They want me to work harder, run faster, jump higher, do all these tricks, and still at the end of the day, don't take advantage of the same benefits that you do. You get better interest rates on loans. They're doing experiments right now to where when I sell my house, I'm going to get 35% less than you are, and you across the street from me. You're going to be quicker to get a loan. You can have 17 cars and not pay none of them, and you'll get a car, and I won't, just because my name is Latoya Fluker. That's what it is.
Yeah.
Just because my name, and they think that I'm a Negro, that means I'm going to get less on everything. I'm going to have to put more effort in everything across the board. You name it, you pick it. Police are going to pull me over faster. Police are going to send me through the ringer versus where you have a pistol sitting right there next to you in your car, wailing it in the air, and then let you go. But if they even think I got a pistol up in here without no permit, I'm going to jail. Period. Period. You understand what I'm saying? So when I speak with people, I don't use eloquent language. I'm going to talk to you like you need to understand the words that are coming out of my mouth. They don't play with us. They don't cut us no slack.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? We don't have the luxuries of just walking down the street and not everybody's so-called being scared of you thinking you're going to rob them. They the thieves. You the ones that came and stole the whole land. You walking down the street, act like somebody going to do something to you. Stop with the jokes. You understand what I'm saying? And that's the best way that I can explain it to them. Everything. You get a head up on everything. But I'm not going to tell no lie. As a Black woman, I feel like there's certain different when you're working in the midst of Black men and white men, you still in the background. It's still something that men do, the Black men do with the white men, you know what I'm saying? That tries to make the women inferior. So from our aspect, our racism is in a multitude of different ways, you know what I'm saying? And I don't think other people notice either. So I think that's why, you know what I'm saying, women feel it the most, you know what I'm saying? Because we kind of get the boo-boo stick from men and color. You know what I'm saying? It's deep. We're property. You know what I'm saying? So for you to be property too, we can identify more with the Black man. But when you look at our positions, we're still the property. We still the trash out of the two, from the Black man and the white man and the white woman.
Wow. That's a lot. And I love how you broke that thing down, because you made sure that that person understood what it was. And if they walk away not knowing, it ain't your fault, because you explained it, expressed it, and gave them a proper picture of what it looks like. Let me go to Mr. Hicks. Mr. Hicks, what's on your heart, sir?
Yes, sir. I was watching these skits of these pundits go on college campuses and start asking these college kids basic questions, like who's the president, who's the governor of your state, or who's the Queen of England, and they couldn't answer the question. I think I'm astounded most times that people haven't thought about things, and I understand it because they make life so hard that you need all of your energy just to survive the economics of life. There's a movie, there was a song, Bob Marley,
what the world? Somebody got something
and he
going
says war. Title of the song was War, and he started listening to these things until these certain things exist. They were always war, and that's the truth of things. You know, until we get to the very core and source of things, and for me, the source of things is every individual.
Hicks, hold on one second. I don't know if that's coming through your line. I got a lot of noise. Can y'all hear that background noise?
Yeah, that's not mine. That's somebody got their thing open.
Yeah, something's going on here.
Have you got an abnormal telephone caller? Because that might be some little trick that they pulling. You know what I'm saying? See if you got somebody abnormal there on the line.
No, I checked.
Yeah.
It's not. I checked on it already. Okay.
Okay, it's the system then.
Yeah. No. I think for whatever reason it was Goddess in line, because when I muted her line, it stopped. So I'm thinking there's something going on with her line right there. But go ahead, Mr. Hicks.
Yeah, I guess in from the land is plain now, Kurt. I think when you don't recognize the power that's been endued in you as a human being, that's been given to you by the Creator. And when you believe the obstacle in front of you are too big to even accomplish. But I think the biggest thing for me, and a suggestion, is to find a way to maintain peace in your life and avoid slipping into the angers of revenge, resentment, and hatred. I mean, for me, I recognize that there's a force operating outside of this human earth, the experience that have an influence on everybody. I think that when you vibrate at a certain level of hate, revenge, resentment, and all those, you attract into your life certain spirits that are not physical, but living. And they influence your thinking and how you perceive things, and they lead you to your destruction. Lead you to the attitude of hate, resentment, rather than love and compassion. I think if I was just for real sitting down with a group of white people, it's always difficult for me in terms of talking about these things because they don't know. They don't know. They can't relate to our experience. I mean, they might do it intellectually from a feeling, emotional. They just do not know. I think that, again, we're living in that time of revelation where things that are hitting are being revealed. In the political scene right now, we're watching political unraveling of a conspiracy. And I'm not going to get political with it because I know that's confusion. But if you look at it clear, one side is headed one way and another side is headed another way, pulling this country to another thing.
Absolutely.
And we're in that point of decision. Which side are you going to fall? Your spiritual influence on, not God and do anything. Which side are you going to recognize? Exactly.
Good. Got to keep this thing moving. There's a lot going on, but my thing is this right here. It's hard for me to sit and say a conscious person, a person that's conscious, that pays attention to the environment and things that goes on in the environment, could not know that systemic racism is out there. Systemic racism is out there. Whether they want to address it, whether they want to acknowledge it, that's a whole different conversation. But to say that you don't know that it exists or that it happens, that's kind of tough for me. Badger, good morning. How you doing this morning?
Good morning.
What do you say to that, Badger? What do you say to a person that say they don't believe that systemic racism is something that's real?
It depends on the person. Most of the time, if it's a white-skinned person, I tell them they're a bloody idiot. Not that word, but you get what I'm saying.
I know exactly what you're saying. Yeah.
And then proceed to explain to them how it works. And it's one like it's wild. He goes, though it seems to be more common with folks that aren't as racist. Or they're just, man, I've asked a couple of them, like, are you blind, dumb, deaf? Like, what's your issue? I guess that's kind of rude, but I just wanted to logically understand how they couldn't see it. Or know it exists. Because there's, see, and I also get, see, this is one of the toughest topics because the more I've looked into things, the more I've talked to certain people, depending on where you're at, a lot of it can go from less to extreme really fast. So in those extreme areas, if it's supposed to be run locally and the people around there aren't speaking out, it's kind of hard to change things. You know, if they're not saying, hey, I was treated like crap and here's the evidence and so on and so on. Instead, they're still in that silence mode. And I get so angry at that because it and I speak out about it. But
30
when you're by
seconds.
yourself, you're
Mm-hmm.
kind of in trouble.
Mm-hmm. Wow.
So it's trying to get people to speak up and speak out. In the areas where it's still happening, that's an issue.
Mm-hmm. Good deal. Cassandra, good morning. How are you doing this morning?
Good morning.
Cassandra, how we talk, you know, we're gonna talk. We talked about systemic. I have a hard time saying the word. You know, certain words. Systemic racism. Why I can't get that out for nothing. And Rico was picking up earlier because, man, we talking about two different things. No, I just can't say that word, brother. But how important is it to you, Cassandra, that if you're in a group of your friends, be it a mixed group of black and white, and they're talking and this conversation come up, how important is it? Or does it matter if some people are very uncomfortable with having this conversation? How important is it that you continue the conversation and continue up down the path so that they can understand exactly what it is and what we are up against when we say systemic racism?
I'd like to give an example that I think would sort of answer that for you. On Monday, I was in Kennesaw picking up some things from a white lady that's selling her building in downtown Kennesaw.
Mm-hmm.
Beautiful building, expensive area, because you know Kennesaw is really moving quickly coming up.
Yeah.
And she was saying, I was telling her what I do, you know, and dealing with civil and human rights and stuff. And she said, "Can I just talk to you?" And she started telling me that the store, the reason she is selling a store that her and her husband are building, that her and her father, has had for over 30 years in downtown Kennesaw, is because right across the street, I didn't even notice it when I came in, there is a racist business. They sell the Klan stuff. They push the, you know, that narrative. And they have done that for over 30-something years. And so her and her father have been trying to get the city council to shut the building down for years.
Mm-hmm.
And they said, no, they've been grandfathered in. They can't do anything because it'd be a lawsuit and blah, 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 blah. So the gentleman who owned the racist business died in January. So they were like, okay, can y'all go ahead and shut it down now? And they said no, because the lady who bought it is under his grandfather law.
Wow.
Because she's keeping it the same building. So she's very upset. They're closing the business down because they believe that if you say that you want things to be right and you're representing your entire community, how is it that you could have on Main Street? This is downtown Main Street, Kennesaw.
Mm-hmm.
She said she just could not, her and her father could not go with that. So they're shutting down and selling that building because of that reason. And she's passionate about wanting to see change. She's a Republican. She said she's lost just about all of her Republican friends because she stood against what your boy was doing, 45 was doing.
Mm-hmm.
So I just wanted to give that as an example. There are people that are willing to hold the conversation, and she actually wants me to come and do a screening of Always in Season, the documentary about lynching and racing, at her building before she closes it down in January.
That's good.
That is someone that wants to make a difference.
I would love to talk to her. I would really love to have a conversation with her.
Yeah, she's amazing. She's actually amazing. I would love that. I can set that up.
Okay, make it happen. Definitely, let's make that happen. Rico, there are some people across the board that really would love to have this conversation, but there are some other people, Rico, that are very, very uncomfortable with even the idea or the thought. Your Karens, if you will. How do you reach them, or do you even try?
Whose parents?
I know I say Karens, them Karens.
Oh, Karen. Oh, Karen. I mean, well, if they're in defiance, you can't. You know what I'm saying? But if they're willing to sit down and talk, you know, about it, then, you know, it's easy to explain it to them. I mean, you asked the question earlier, and the first time you asked, you know what I'm saying, if somebody asked you what systemic racism was, you know what I'm saying, would you talk to them or tell them or whatever? And then the second time, I think you asked, what if they said it didn't exist?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
See, now, if they was in denial of it, they already know the conversation.
Mm-hmm.
And they trying to say we making it up.
We just need to pull up our bootstraps and get at it. We just lazy. It ain't no excuse no more. And we're going to have it out. But if you ask me what it is, I'm not going to feel any type of way because it's a very good possibility that you don't understand because you have not had an opportunity to go through this experience of not having the benefit of the doubt, of telling the truth and being told you're a lie, of knowing that you are qualified, but then not being recommended for something that you know you deserve. Because somebody might say, well, you know what, he ain't educated enough, or maybe he doesn't have a look. You ever heard this thing called about somebody looking presidential?
Yeah.
That's the standard that they set. You know what I'm saying? You got to look a certain way. Once again, a standard that you have to fit into this system. So once again, man, you know, we got to understand what this system does. And what it did, it divided us and it classified us. It categorized us, categorized us. But to a certain point, not only like I said, it's one thing to try to get the other people that don't suffer from it or that aren't on the losing end of it. It's one thing to get them to understand it, but it's another thing to get our own to understand how divided we are. You know, like and this ain't no badge on Toy, but I'm gonna give this example. When she said that about the women being getting the least of it. To a certain extent, that's almost like saying we got it worse than y'all. And then with men will come back and say we got it worse than y'all. Because I could easily come back and say, hey, remember that test with the teachers and the students, the young children, 5-year-olds. You see how all those women, even the black women, looked at the little young black boy and he wasn't doing nothing wrong, but they kept their eye on him. That's almost the same as locking your door when one of them walk by. So black men can also say that too. And then we feel like, well, we the worst. No, how about it evolves? In some instances, they treat black women the worst. In some instances, they treat black men the worst. In some instances, the black women treat the black men the worst. In some instances, the black men treat the black women the worst. It is all a part of systemic racism. That's the problem.
Exactly.
So if we could actually acknowledge that these things are happening and it affects us both equally, just in different ways, then we could prop each other up and stop saying that, well, we getting it worse than y'all. Well, we getting it worse than y'all. How about we all both getting it in so many different ways? Because like I said earlier, it affects all aspects of our existence.
So basically what I'm hearing,
and they're gonna make it work according to what they needed to do. If they need to divide the family, whatever works, they'll make that happen. It just depends on whoever takes the bait. If you want this welfare, you want this Section 8, you want these benefits,
gotta keep it moving,
go ahead
Rico.
and sell out this man.
Exactly. Gotta keep it moving, Rico. Hold right there for a second, man. Don't go nowhere. And I heard what you say because it sounds as though it's like a divide and conquer. As long as they keep us divided, they have a better chance or a better opportunity to conquer us. But once we come together with the equal and equal opportunity and mindset, then we can move forward collectively as a unit. I understand what you're saying.
Once we understand how that system works, that's what the system is designed to do, and we letting it do it. So we got to question what part we contribute to systemic racism because of the unconscious science behind that system that we participate in ourselves.
Good deal. Let me go to Goddess. Goddess, it was something going on with your line a few minutes ago. I think you may have gotten it fixed, but what's on your heart? Just talk to me. This divide and conquer thing, does that exist?
Did you say Goddess?
Yes.
Okay. What was the question again? I'm sorry.
The divide and conquer thing that Rico was just talking about, is that a way that they use to keep us divided, male against female, light skin against dark, whatever it is, just keep us divided, almost like they say in the Willie Lynch letter, keep us divided. If they keep us divided, they have a better opportunity or a better chance to conquer us as a people, as a unit. So do they use that divide and conquer type thing, whereas it's well, men can say we got it worse than y'all, or women can say we got it worse than y'all, and now there's a battle, an interior battle amongst us, and we're not focusing on the one that's keeping both of us down.
Yes, that I can't always say it's them now. I mean, but yeah, they have a divide and conquer thing, but their whole programming, television, everything, the whole programming is set up, and so I guess I can still say it's them. So the whole programming is divide and conquer. It's men against women. It's ourselves against each other. You know, like Rico said, money over everything basically is how people's mindset are coming. He didn't use that particular word, but it was about money and something. But I understood what he was saying, and the fact that people are forgetting what our ancestors have done. I mean, I'm in a historic district neighborhood now, and I'm fighting my next door neighbors basically because of the fact that, hey, this is a historic jazz district. And this is not, rap is a wonderful thing, don't get me wrong, but there's good conscious rap and there's positive rap. But the fact that the I'ma kill you, I'ma get you sucker type of mentality of that rap is not what's needed. And we have got to understand, but because they're making money, they don't care. Period. They don't care. They don't have the respect for the next neighbor. So now it's me against them, and that's not good. Well, we should be fighting as a whole because we should be trying to mend together as KC, as 18th and Vine, KC Black Wall Street. Because we the only last black owners down there are the Mohicans. And again, the ARPA money they were we should have been the first one that got that money. And every time we apply for different grant programs that they have, we're the first ones getting denied.
Wow. 508-924-3521. 508-924-3521. Love conversations like this, man. I just love them. I love them. Badger, what's on your heart, brother? Curtis, coming to you next.
You know, what Rico was touching on is something that I've been looking into more and more of, because I'm coming across so many young people that don't have that similar hatred they're not carrying on that racism. However, they're still carrying on the social media stuff without, a lot of times, don't even realize it. So sometimes it's just bringing that to their awareness, and they're like, oh, well, I feel like crap about that. But it's a valid point. Like, across the board, how much longer as American citizens that's supposed to be free are going to continue hating one another for whatever bloody reason they want us to hate each other for? A lot of like, me and my wife, when I first became disabled, I actually thought about splitting up just so she'd have more access to things. You heard that, right?
Exactly.
So, like, since this is a racial issue, that's why, like, from my personal experience, I don't get any different. I don't get anything special from the local government and all that crap. So we thought about separating or getting a divorce just so she could have access to certain things for her health. Doesn't that sound pretty similar? However, now if you add in a racist human being that's backing up that rule or that law or whatever, now what is it? I'm asking you seriously. When does it cross from being classism into racism?
That's Badger, that's a pretty wide bridge there, brother. That's a pretty wide bridge, because though there are some similarities, I don't think what we're talking about, and maybe somebody's could clear it up for me, because I'm not clear on it. But I think there's two different battles.
Okay. The reason I'm asking that is if it's not racism because it's being done to me,
Mm-hmm.
but
Well, see, when
but
you say that part, it's not racism because it's being done to you. We're not saying that it's not racism, or we're not saying that.
That's not.
Okay, go ahead. I missed something.
So, like the scenario I just gave you, right?
Mm-hmm.
I just heard how the government was blamed about, taking the black man out of the black family, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I'm literally telling you, in 2022, me and my wife was talking about getting a divorce so she could get better access to health care.
Mm-hmm.
We're white skinned.
Okay.
Yet there's a ton of couples I know on both sides that are choosing not to get married just so the woman can have better access to health care and all kinds of stuff, because the moment they get married, all of a sudden it's all the man's responsibility to get her health insurance and whatever else, and food and so on and so on.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Okay. Anybody have anything they want to say to that?
I get what he's saying.
Mm-hmm.
What that is, that's part of that witchcraft that comes from the system of classification I was speaking on.
Yeah, and that's why I was saying it's different.
Again, we got to understand the system.
Yeah, and that's why I was saying it was different. Yeah. Go ahead.
The system of classification started first, but then to get the favor and votes and support of poor white trash, or whatever you want to call them back then, poor white Southerners, whatever, to get them on board, the rich white elites had to make them acceptable, so they did the same thing that they did to women. They gave them some crumbs and said, hey, them black folks want y'all crumbs. Well, what we gonna call it? There it is. Now here comes the race thing. Once again, we are competing for resources that they control. They have a system based on racism that's rooted from a system of classification. But racism is the bottom common denominator and the most brutal, because now it made poor white people think that they were better just because they were white. And then they ignore these white people that still don't give 2 cents about them.
Mm-hmm.
So I see what Badger is saying. But the thing is it devolved. It went more into a more negative situation when you start making it about a skin color. Because one thing you can't do nothing about is the color of your skin.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Okay.
So that's where the sickness comes in. When it affects the community and does what that system was designed to do, which is divide. Like I said, if you control the resources and then you could dole out a little bit, you just saw what Badger said him and his wife was considering.
Mm-hmm.
Now imagine that multiplied by 10 with black people placed in a condition that was intended for them to be put in because they didn't want them to have an opportunity or the same access to resources.
Mm-hmm. Wow. Wow.
Well,
Yes, sir.
Thought about when Badger was talking about that, the way that it was done to kick and I'm just saying it, to not kick, but to have the black male out of the home.
Mm-hmm.
If they was going to receive some of the benefits, you couldn't have the man in the house.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Purposely.
Yeah.
Not given see, what Badger said is that he, and I think this is what he said, they was having to have that as an option so that she can get the benefits.
Mm-hmm.
Not forced to be able to put him out
Mm-hmm.
to get the benefits. And what happened with us is some of the male and female fell for the okie doke and said, so that I can get food stamps, welfare, or free housing, or housing at a lower rate, then you can come stay the night, but after, not even stay the night, you come by, but you can't live here.
Yeah. By sun up, you gotta be gone. By sun up, you gotta
And
be
it
gone.
was
Yeah, yeah.
systematically, yeah. Say it again.
By sun up, you gotta be gone.
You got to be gone. And it was systematically done. The system created that scenario. And here we go with situations, especially when the wars was out. A lot of things happened, and we blame it on the war, but underhandedly, it was done purposely so that the strong family bond was broken.
Mm-hmm.
And now we see the results.
Wow.
And they say, we've got them.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Curtis, are you with us? Can you hear us better, Curtis?
Yeah, I've been to hear y'all, man.
Oh, okay. Okay. What's going on? Talk to me.
You know, the idea of classism and racism, the ideas of the two.
Hey, Curtis, your line is very, very low, sir.
The ideas of the two consistently go together.
Mm-hmm.
We keep trying to separate the two. You can't. One is always led by the other. The other is always fed by the one. You can't separate the two ideologies. It's impossible. Because when one doesn't work, then the natural tendency is to lean on the other one. When the other one doesn't work, the natural tendency is to lean on the one. That's just how it works. That is how the system is set up. When we talk about, I heard Rico talk about it before. I can't remember the name of it. Forgive me. You know what I mean? I'm kind of embarrassed as a history student and major. But there was this big land grab back in the pioneer days. There was a big land grab. They didn't allow for Indians, nor did they didn't allow for indigenous Indians, nor did they allow for Negroes to show up for the land grab. That was against the law. You understand? It was against the law to even allow for Negroes to own land. And then when you did start allowing for them to own land, which would have given some kind of credence to their economic basis in America, the Negroes couldn't read and write. So there was clauses in the contracts that automatically said that at any minute we could come and take it, in so many words. So you gotta understand, man, like classism, ethnocentrism, and racism is a three-headed monster that always go together. They always move together. The biggest problem that we have in American society and culture is it's shameful that the only time you can learn these things is when you go to an institution of higher learning. Well, why is that? Let's address that issue. Why is it that the only time you can learn things that have a truth to them that cannot be refuted is once you go to an institution of higher learning? Well, could that possibly be because guess what? I get 18 years. I get 18 years to brainwash you and convince you that this is the actual system. And everything that is true, I convince you that it is just a theory.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
It's not a hard concept to understand. Divide and conquer is real. That is a war tactic that has been used since the invention of war.
Mm-hmm.
Divide and conquer. That is your first strategic plan. Prime example. We got it going on right now. Because out of all of us that's on this panel, the one that's probably seeing it at an even greater level than we can talk about it right now is probably the youngest person on the panel, as well as
30
the
seconds.
person who has more of a vested interest.
Mm-hmm.
That's Nisi. And she can't even talk about it.
Mm-hmm.
That is a tactic of divide and conquer. Why? Because if she talk about it, she may tell an inconvenient truth.
Mm-hmm. Wow. That's good. Leonard, good morning, sir. How you doing this morning?
Good morning, Raheem and the Morning Glow family.
Leonard, how do you feel about what was just said? Do you view classism and racism as the same, intertwined?
No. As a matter of fact, when I first came on, certain issues that I really don't go into too much because I believe we do ourselves a great injustice by simplifying certain situations.
Explain to me why you say they're different.
Well, first of all, racism is documented, has to do with color of skin. That's what racism about is about discrimination based on color of skin. And even 1.2, you wasn't even considered a citizen. You didn't even have the rights of a citizen. It took civil rights movements to get you those rights here in America to do that. That is racism. Now, classism is extremely subjective. And it has so many different variables that pretty much most of you choose which one you're going to be in.
So you select your own in regards to classism.
See, one thing about true classism is if you go to other places, there are structures where you cannot get out of your class. That's not so in America. That's why people come to America. Because you can be a part of any class that you just about choose to be about.
Would you be accepted?
As long as you meet the criteria of the class. And that's why I say it's so variable. Like a lot of people think they middle class. But if you look up the definition of middle class, you're probably not middle class. According to the definition. If you were looking at income, some people live great. And they're not even lower middle class in America. So it just depends on your perspective. When people talk of the top 1%, that kind of clarifies it a little bit more. Top 1% of what? Top 1% as far as earned income is concerned. You know, the top 1%, let's say if they're billionaires, maybe, millionaires. Let's just say they're wealthy. Most of you have enough sense not to put yourself in that class. Now, you go down to, like, say, for instance, middle class. Middle class, some people would say got three. You got high middle class, middle class, and low middle class. You may have poor, but not really poor, and you're up a little bit higher where you can make ends meet. So class is very subjective. And people choose usually where they want to be.
30 seconds, Leonard.
I'm done.
Okay, good deal, good deal. Read this right here before we move on. This is our public citizen. This is Paul. Read that.
I agree with you, Leonard, about the difference, but the stress of being poor is universal. It is a lot harder to switch classes these days. Being poor is not an issue for everyone. You may view people as poor. If you're just talking about income, you're looking at an income level. But if you go and talk to the people a lot of times that you consider poor, they won't appear to you as being poor at all. They may be in a certain situation at this time, but they still have upward mobility. Like, say, for instance, every child is almost poor, if you want to think about it that way, because they don't have no income. Their parents have the income. So they're blessed to be with these types of parents. But sometimes, like, that's why even on here, I tell people, I don't want to hear no rich man telling no poor man story. I get so sick of that. And you don't talk about the poor if you don't know them.
Good deal. Hold right there. Let me pull some more people. Let me go to Cassandra. Cassandra, what is your idea? What is your thought pattern on this classism and racism? And then we're gonna get back to what we're talking about, because I don't want to veer too far from the systemic racism. I don't want to veer too far from that. I want to dedicate this whole broadcast to that. But what is your thought on that?
Classism and racism?
Yes. In your view, are they the same? Are they the same? Or they similar? Or what are the differences?
No, they definitely are different, and Lynn explained that. But I definitely feel like classism is something that many of us deal with. And I live in downtown Atlanta. I am considered poverty level. for the income that I have a year. Poverty level. And I mean, I'm not on the street, thank God. I do have a roof over my head, but I believe that, especially even in the Atlanta area, we have serious poverty issues, but because of gentrification, it's getting even worse because the people that are living in the houses that they've been in sometimes 15, 20 years are being pushed out because of a certain class of people coming in.
Yeah.
And that to me, that's a racist move, to push the people that have lived in the Atlanta area for years, pushing them out to bring in a different class of people. That is a serious problem. So, I believe we have a serious issue in this country with classism and racism.
Good deal. We're gonna keep this thing going. I'm gonna read this right here real quickly, and then we're gonna move on. Leonard, it was a topic thing that Paul said to you, but I can't come back to you right now. I got to circle back around. I'll come back to you. But he said, people choose their class sound like a Republican talking point, frankly. So that's the way he feel about that. I'll come back to you. Let me go to Ibrahim. Good morning, sir. How you doing this morning?
Blessings and assalamu alaikum. Good morning, everybody.
Good morning.
Give me a holler.
Yeah, give you a holler. Look at it. We're talking about well, I can't get that word out for nothing. Systemic racism. Is it real? Is it make believe? Is that something? Is that just them black people playing that race card? What is it? What is it to you, Ibrahim? Talk to me. 3 minutes.
Well, it's real. Let's look at the whole entire system. It's a caste system, a class system, and racism. Now, all of them hand in hand, right? Now, you have a caste system that could be based on color, wealth, could be based on color or social status, right? Now, middle class is at one time was based on social status. You can make a certain amount of money, but you cannot be into, you still won't be into that system until you accept it. That, history tells you about that all through the Middle Ages, right? Between caste and class. All right. Now, when you have a multi-diverse society like we have here, and it's dominated by a particular social status, then you have racism and class intertwined, right? Now, if you read what it was W. Du Bois and had written about that was during the 1870s, during the Reconstruction period, and up to racism. And he said that blacks down south, ownership of land and everything, they didn't understand, that they couldn't be put in that category. But however, they used the poor whites and the poor blacks. They gave them what Du Bois coined the raise of I misrepresented the credit of whiteness, as opposed to that both in social economic class, right? Then one was elevated that simply by the credit, simply by being white, as others in the same class were simply credited being black. So racism and classism is well defined, and they intermingle because you can elevate above your class system, and still be considered being black. Matter of fact, it was a conversation. I don't know if y'all heard the conversation that was going on between
30 seconds.
The princess and the princess of Wales, married to Harry, and also Diva, right? And they were saying that, she was saying that I didn't make it. She didn't say I didn't know I was a black woman until I started dating Harris. All her life, she thought I was mixed or either one, somewhere in between. So I would never consider myself or was considered as a black woman until I started dating him because it can't start. Even though she had the wealth, circumstances to be in an upper class system, she was considered being racialized as being what? Black. So caste, classic, and racism are all intermingled, depending on how you identify it.
Good deal. Good deal. Stay right there, brother. Don't go nowhere. Let me go to Willa. Willa, good morning. How you doing this morning?
Good morning, Raheem. Good morning, Morning Glow.
Good morning, sis. We're talking about systemic racism, and I got it out that time. God told me, I feel so good. My wife gonna be proud of me. Is it real? What do you think about this thing called systemic racism? Is it real? Is it fake? Is it just something that is it the black folks playing the black card? What is it? What is it to you, Willa? 3 minutes.
It's all of that. It's all of that, Raheem, what you just said. You know, one thing I think that they got it hidden is in the application. When you think about it and you fill out an application for a certain program or anything that for assistance or anything, the application always got, what color are you? What does that matter? My color shouldn't matter that I'm in need of a certain anything, whatever it is, whatever the environment in that I'm looking for assistance, my color shouldn't matter at all. So I think they got it hidden in the application. So that's the one thing that I do know that is out there. The second thing I said that's on my heart is that, yeah, it's out there, but I just want to know, why is it that other cultures, like Asians or the Spanish people, seem to excel from that? You know, they all live in one house, they all get together, they're able to collectively look at the system and say, you know what, we're going to use it for us and not against us. You know, and so that's where I think sometimes our culture uses it as an excuse or a lazy and poor behavior. I mean, if I get Section 8, mind you, okay, and then I decide to be in a relationship, why would I bring somebody in the relationship that's not going to help contribute to me to excel out of a system that I know is trying to keep me at a certain classification? And that's what's on my heart.
Okay. Let me go to Goddess. Goddess, are you with us?
Yes, I'm right here.
Goddess, let me ask you this question, and it's very interesting what Willa just said. She said other races come together and they collectively come together and they build with each other until they get to a certain place, and then they divide and replicate what they've done to make sure that everybody succeeds. Do you think a part of why we do not do that, or is a part of why we don't do that, historic, how they treated us and how they intentionally wanted us to be divided and was treated a certain way? Of 3 or 4 was in a group together, you know, we were probably beaten or killed or whatever because they think we was plotting. So do you think that's a piece or a part of it? You got 3 minutes.
I do believe that some of it is instilled within our DNA, and I hate to say that because of, you know, some of that trauma. That trauma is instilled in our DNA, and we still have the house and the field, and we're still fighting against each other, not knowing that neither one of us are getting or moving forward, or because you're in the house, you feel like you're moving forward, but yet you mentally still behind. So yeah, we do have that. That is a major problem. And I see that right now when we here in Kansas City, where the Northlanders will come together for one commonality, even though they're fighting, they'll come together for one commonality. Whereas with ourselves, and I'm going to use the historic district down Vine, we still fighting against ourselves because, you know, instead of coming together where we have millions of dollars on the table that we can get, we can't even come together on that.
Wow.
So,
wow.
I mean, I don't know if it's, you know, when God said that pride is better than, you know, when you put your pride over everything, God said don't walk in pride. Like, I don't know, I really can't put a pinpoint on it, but it's crazy. It's the fact that you know, you don't want to put your ancestors ahead of everything, that you don't care, you destroy everything that is what our ancestors died for. You know, in that area is something that blacks couldn't go nowhere else. So yeah, we want our young blacks to come down there, but we want them to be not dysfunctional. And if you are dysfunctional, then you better learn how to become and recreate yourself and become functional. And we do have a lot of functional adults and young folks. But when you continue to promote dysfunctionality, then you're going to get dysfunctionality. So I can't blame that on everybody else. I can only blame it on ourselves and where we stand at as a people. And we have got to wake up. And maybe I'm talking to myself. How do I reach? So I'm posing this back to the group. How do I reach people like that?
30 seconds.
You know, show me what to do. Give me the words, because I'm willing. I'll set my pride aside.
Wow. Good deal. Good deal. Cassandra, what's on your heart? Rico, come to you next.
Yeah, I've been saying it, for a minute now. We can talk about, the classism and the racism from other people, and I know that's our topic, but until we come together as a people, period, point blank, I'm not blaming anybody else at this point, because we have to come together in order to make the changes happen for our people as a whole. And I'm talking about, I don't care what class of black you are. I don't care. Your socioeconomics has nothing to do with this. We need to come together as a people to find resolutions for the issues that plague us as a people. So my concern is us coming together, because how are we going to get along with anybody else if we can't get along with ourselves?
That's right. That's right. Rico, what's on your heart, brother?
I agree, man. We have to come together. I mean, Willa hit it on the head. We speak about it all the time, how all these different ethnicities come over here and they live together and build and grow. But see, we keep saying the topic is systemic racism. And have to keep going back to talking about the system. I think it should be understood that we are talking about the system.
Yeah.
So now this system, it is what it is. Classism is what it is. Racism is what it is. They are not the same. They're first cousins. They are very much related in this system as another tool to make the system successful. All these Italians and Jews and Chinese and Indians come over here, man, and they understand the system and they organize in order to find a way to compete in this system for their best benefit. Now, we don't organize like that. We just want the American dream. We just want the American dream, but we don't understand what it takes to get there. Then to a certain extent we do, but we don't understand why. Why can't we live in the same house together? I'm going to ask you that question again. Why can't black people live in the same house together? You know they ain't going to get along.
Yeah.
Listen, it ain't right till a white person say it's right. See, and sometimes we might accuse each other of being lazy or just not wanting to do better, or choosing to be in a certain class. No, really and truly, some of it has to do with brainwashing, programming. Think about it. We are programmed to be mistrusting of each other. We are programmed to watch our own little black preschoolers suspiciously and ignore the little white boy and the little white girl. Our own black teachers. See how that subconscious programming works? So sometimes people are doing some of these things and they don't even know that they're doing it. He said Meghan Markle said that she didn't even realize she was black. Ain't that something? It took for her to go over there and realize that, and go through that to realize who she was. Oh, she must have drank the Kool-Aid. She thought she had accomplished the American dream. She was a celebrity.
30 seconds.
She had money and fame and favor. She didn't realize this, the way the system set up. You still black. We'll show you. Now she feeling like she need to come back home, get back to her roots, because now she's been put in her place in the system that she wants to survive in. So it ain't really and truly that people choose to be in the class that they want to be in. You know, there are conditions, there are people that control resources, there are people that produce and dictate where these resources go and where they don't go. Who can get them and who can't get them.
Exactly. Exactly.
In that process of them dictating how that system rolls, some of the people that just want to try to survive in it don't understand how much it is affecting them, how much they're contributing to it. So, you know, we it's a mental thing. This awakening we're gonna have, man, it's deeper than just, you know, the motivation. It's a mental breaking that we have to do, because we are dealing with a lot of broken people and misprogrammed people, programmed from this system.
I'm going to read something. This is something that Paul, our public citizen, said. He said, but we also need to reject false teachings like those of Tariq Nasheed and his harmful melanated white supremacy. Curtis, you want to comment on that?
What did he say again? I heard it, but I just want to make sure I heard it right.
But we also need to reject false teachings like those of Tariq Nasheed and his harmful melanated white supremacy.
Oh, you just read the last part. Read the whole thing again, right?
I read the whole thing, brother. I say, but we also need to reject false teachings like those of Tariq Nasheed and his harmful melanated white supremacy.
I don't even know who Tariq Nasheed is. Right?
Tariq Nasheed, I'm gonna tell you who Tariq Nasheed is, and come back to me on that, Raheem.
Okay.
Tariq Nasheed is one of the main forces behind Hidden Colors. He's a film producer.
A film producer, yeah.
He's a film producer, Kurt. He's from out of Detroit.
Yeah, it sure is.
And he produces those Hidden Color documentaries.
You saw the documentary Hidden Colors, right? Where they talk about all the stuff that supposedly happened, allegedly happened. He highlight those situations and those scenarios. You're not familiar with him? I can go to somebody else, to come back to you, brother.
No, I saw Hidden Colors. I saw Hidden Colors like 3-4 years ago, 5 years ago.
He produced it.
Yeah, he was on them. She was on them.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay. So what is Public Citizen saying? We should throw his teachings out? Is that what he's saying?
Pretty much, basically.
He's saying his teachings are false, right?
Yes. False teachings like those of Tariq Nasheed. Yes.
Okay, why? Well, here's my question. If his teachings are false, he's absolutely right. Okay, but all at the same time, that's the problem in America. We like to make everything a one issue topic. We like to make everything finite, and life is not finite, right? Because at the same time, if you're going to throw his teachings out, then why not mention the fact that we need to throw out all false teachings, all of them? We need to throw out the teachings that says that black men in America was 3/5 of a man. That's in the Constitution, right? We need to throw out teachings that say that black people are inferior to every other population of people in this country. See, that's the one thing that bothers me. It's like, even in politics, like, yeah, I'm a Democrat, but if a Republican saying something that makes sense, okay, then guess what? I can go with that. If they're saying something that makes sense, I'm not just going to throw the baby out with the bathwater or just throw out what they say. No. Like, if it makes sense, it makes good, sound, logical sense, then so be it. Now, when I saw Hidden Colors, I saw a lot of things that was wrapped up in the truth in American history and the design of this American experiment and culture. We got to stop telling this lie that this country that this country was forged and built and designed by men who were just so righteous. Half of the men that signed the Declaration of Independence were slave owners. What are we talking about? But we gonna choose this one guy, and a public citizen is he's a square brother, man. But quit handing me this one ideology. You use this one person to represent all the teachings, because you gotta understand there's somebody listening to that, and they use that same ideology to justify their foolishness and crap.
30 seconds, Curtis.
I mean, I'm just saying, Mo, like, come on, man. I get what you're saying. If it's really causing a division, okay, I get it. Let's throw it out. Let's do away with it. But are we saying the same thing about Donald Trump? Are we saying the same thing about all those that supporting Donald Trump? Are we saying the same thing about the Klan?
Good deal, Curtis.
Why there was not a mention of going up the Klan, Raheem?
I'm with you, brother. Hold on, that's 3 minutes, brother. I gotta keep it moving. But he did respond, and he said, "I'm not saying everything Nasheed says is false, but there is a lot of falsehoods. My main problem is with him is that he promotes a lot of racist ideas." Leonard?
No, he does not. What he does is he exposes the racist ideas that have existed in America since its conception. Now, if you're talking about a falsehood, you may want to mention one of those falsehoods, because the only falsehood you could be attributed is so general that, one, some people just like those people who are anti-critical race theory. That is exactly what Tariq Nasheed is about. It's critical race theory and the permanence of racism in these United States. So if I'm going to call a man a lie, I'm going to tell somebody a lie he told, and then that's what I'm going to talk about. Talk about the lie and the falsehood. Don't just sum it all up. Because for that matter, I've seen Hidden Colors, but I know what Tariq is about. I know where his study come from, and they are very well out in research documentaries. He don't go out of his way to lie. Now, if he says something you don't like and you don't believe, that's you. But if you're going to call another man a lie, at least have the decency to let us know the lie he told.
Wow. Good deal. Rico, anything on your heart, brother?
Yeah, I mean, I look at it like this, man. Tariq Nasheed is not the conversation about systemic racism. We got distracted again, just like we did with this class thing. When really and truly, we're supposed to be identifying the different ways that systemic racism works and why we can't defeat it, why we don't understand we're competing in it. But since we have brought him up, I can say this. I love all the Hidden Colors. There was nothing wrong. There was nothing wrong in the information in those videos. I think that was an effort that he made that he needs to be commended for. Now, as a person, he made How to Mac or The Art of Being a Mac or something like that. So I think he might be an opportunistic person, but I take the good with the bad sometimes. If he's just doing Hidden Colors to make money, maybe that's why he did it, but at the same time, it's beneficial and it's very informative. But I don't like all his narratives all the time away from Hidden Colors. Now, he speaks off from Hidden Colors on his own podcast, and sometimes he could get a little jealous, Jezebelish. Sometimes he could be a little feminine, and he could go back and forth and be real nasty with other men in the same pro-black community. I don't like that. I don't like to see that division between two of our most outspoken people like him and Dr. Umar Johnson, Infantunde, what do you want to call himself now? Them going back and forth. But see, once again, it goes to show you the division. See, now, we want to talk about it I'd rather talk about him and the division that he had with people that actually contributed to his Hidden Colors and how much momentum he created behind that. But I'm gonna tell you something. Those videos created a whole momentum and woke up a whole lot of people that's talking about stuff that they refused to even talk about and acknowledge before then. So sometimes you got to make a trend cool. And it became a cool trend, but it did what it needed to do. If he made money off of it, cool. It still did what he needed it to do. But as far as questioning him or making this podcast or this topic about him, don't drink that Kool-Aid. Let's get back to the business of this system.
Exactly. Let me go to Mr. Hicks. Mr. Hicks, what's on your heart, sir? I'm gonna say it. Systemic racism.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Talk to me.
Whole lot. I'm wrapped up into the Communist Manifesto. In the Communist Manifesto, that's Karl Marx and Engels, all them guys, right? Talking about the economic system. They divided the world into oppressed and oppressor. And the strategy is this: if you can make the poor people poor, and if you can eliminate the middle class, you have the fertile ground for revolution. And it would happen with inflation and stuff like going on in Venezuela. When Biden came into office, he shut down the pipeline. Oil was selling at $30 a gallon. It went immediately up to $130 a gallon, which made the poor poor, which is wiping away the middle class. Now, I understand feelings and how you could be emotional. Like I said, I came through that. I came through it and produce a hatred. It produced a hate. It produced a violent man because I was doing it through my emotions. We're in a situation, and our problem is basically a culture. I mean, it's culture. You know, the little thing they had in school where they had a black kid, had a teacher looking at my daughter's a teacher. A couple of my siblings are teachers. And if you walk in a classroom, you got to make an automatic assumption that this kid is coming from a broken situation. He's not been disciplined. I saw a skit on TikTok. They had a teacher come out from this crowd of kids and parents and stuff doing a play. And she came out, she's real loud and boisterous. And a voice came out, "Set the F up." And they said, "Oh, we don't do that. We don't do that. We don't do that." He said, "Do you need to go? Do you need to be taken out?" He said, "Shut up, B." And you couldn't see who was the voice of. They lift up a 4-year-old. That was a 4-year-old with this dealing with this teacher that way. Now we're talking about culture. We don't come together because we lost the knowledge of who we are. We don't know who we are. We don't know if we're colored, Negro, African American, Black, Native American, because they genocide us out of documents. It's my belief that the vast majority of Black folks in this country didn't come from Africa, but they was indigenous to this land. They show us pictures of these people that came to the Straits, the Oriental kind of thing, and make you think that was the Native American. But I've seen photographs, and I have the history of my grandfather, my grandmother telling me that there's a time where you couldn't say that you were Native American or Indian because you would be lynched.
30 seconds.
So I'm saying, 30 seconds. Bringing that plane in, Kurt. We got to focus on our individual selves.
Absolutely.
We got to destroy the enemy inside of ourselves. That's me.
Badger, what's on your heart, brother?
You know, touching on what I touched on earlier, I was trying to eventually get to the point of how classism exists to a degree. And it's also a perception or a perspective, depending on where you're at in that spectrum. Racism and the systematic racism is a horrible thing that happens when you start bringing up, you know, how a white person versus a Black person gets treated by a judge, and so on, any of those situations, how in certain areas police handled, you know, a Black person versus a white person is vastly different. Does it happen to white people? Yes. Does it happen to Black people? 10 times more. And it's getting.
You may be being general. You may be being generous when you just say 10 times more. But go ahead. I understand your point. You may be being generous with just 10% or maybe 50% or whatever, you know, whatever it is.
Yeah, I probably am. And the point of it is, you know, we're also trying to speak solutions while we're talking as well.
Mm-hmm.
And so many people bring in the classism into the racism. And to me, classism is 1,000% money.
Mm-hmm.
How can we use another human being? I don't. I was confused when, like, not on the show, but younger, of how that influences racism and things like that. But the more I've researched, the more I've looked into it, the more I've talked to people like Leonard and so on and so on, you know, the way I understand it's very different now. Because I was always trying to understand, why is these white folks so hateful toward black folks? Why do they treat them so different, so less than, and so on and so on and so on? And I see it more in the older than I do younger people, especially in the younger generations that are
Mm-hmm.
coming up. And that's why they say that phrase, you know, we just wish the older ones would, yeah, kids can hear me.
Yeah. Okay.
So it's one of those situations of, that's why I made the comment. All right, here's classism. Where does the classism cross into the racism?
Mm-hmm.
Yes, there's examples or these theories that because of classism it created racism. I don't agree with that.
Mm-hmm.
Because somebody decided to make it a race issue, not just a separation tactic. And now it's become such a heinous issue. I don't even think that word describes the evil that it is.
30 seconds.
'Cause I don't even think Satan's capable of being that evil.
Mm.
It's trying to, at least in my experience, trying to get white people to see that, almost it at most of the time it feels impossible.
Mm-hmm.
It's like they're so ignorant and brainwashed and all these things that they're not able to see how much of it actually exists.
Mm-hmm. Good deal. Good deal. Let's keep this thing going. I'm gonna go in this order right here. I'm gonna go. Who I got up next? I got Goddess. And I'm going to Willow, and we're gonna continue circling around. Goddess, what's on your heart? 3 minutes.
I want to go back to the brother that was talking about how our classification went from black to Negro to mulatto. And yes, you're right. Majority of us were already here. And unfortunately, Marcus Garvey and it's another guy, I can't think of his name, they came in with the Pan-Africanism. And so they were all affiliated with that classification.
That's right.
I can't think of his name, but it's a black guy who came up with that information to classify us as black mulatto, and then it became a law. The white man took it and ran with it and made it a law. Because if you say that if you're Indian and you say that you're black, if you're Indian and you say that you're Indian, then you're gonna go to jail or be prosecuted or something of that sort, or how it went.
Lynched.
Correct me if I'm wrong, but so people were putting mulatto. Then it went, if you start saying mulatto, then you're gonna go in there and we're gonna get you, and so you must state that you're black. Because I went through my history and I seen the changes from Indian to mulatto to black. It was just crazy. And so, I mean, that's where we stand, because they even took off African American. Really, I mean, they got black, white, other, and all that now.
Mm-hmm.
You're right.
That's on my lifetime. So
yes.
I think if you read the Constitution, and a lot of people keep going back and forth, and this is kind of what I was upset about Barack Obama. You can pass the gay rights, you can pass all the rights, but you never did remove us out of the 1/3 being human because we were black. So if you couldn't correct that, that's the main thing that should have been corrected. If anything. And, you know, so I can't praise the man other than the fact that he looked good in the White House. And he gave some of our black kids hope. That's the only thing I can say for him that he really done for our community.
30 seconds.
I can't say no more than that.
Okay. Okay.
That's all I got to say.
Good deal. Good deal. Willa, what's on your heart, sis? And let's get back to systematic racism. Let's go. We only got 30 minutes, so we need to talk about solutions and what we need to do, because we've dedicated a large part of the show, got sidetracked a couple of times, but now we're back to systematic racism. So let's talk about solutions. What do we need to do? Willa?
Well, Raheem, I was going to say, I guess a lot of people on the show that's listening is saying, why do we always talk about this same topic all the time? And I was going to put it out there like, you know, how does the system always try to distract other cultures from seeing how we as Black people see right through it? They'll change the requirements on the applications or the requirements on what the system says that we need to have in order to get a certain something. And then they'll put Bobo as the individual to submit the application to us, looking at it as a distraction that you don't see the change of the racism that they have changed in the system on how they make it hard for us to do something. So that's why we talk about it. We talk about it because we're just trying to bring awareness of things that need to be changed, because it has been distracted so long through the system that it's hidden. But we can see it clearly.
Absolutely.
So that's why we talk about it. Because I know somebody said, why do Black people always bring up color? And it's always an issue. It's because when it's not affecting you, you don't have a problem with it. And that's what's on my heart.
All right.
My thing is this right here. Somebody just came in. Okay, there you go. My thing is this right here. If I come to say if I go to Leonard on Monday and I say, man, my right foot hurt, man. We talk about it a little bit, go on about our business. Come back the next day, Tuesday. Man, my right foot sure is hurting, man. We talk about it a little bit, go on about our business. For the rest of that week, every day, all the way up until Friday, I come to him, I say, man, my right foot is killing me, man. And we talk about it a little bit, go on about our business. Is it going to come a point in the time where one of us is going to look at my right foot and find out what's going on? Because if I keep talking about it, evidently something is going on with my right foot. Evidently something is wrong with my right foot. We're talking today about systematic racism, and to your point, well, if we keep talking about it, evidently there's something is going on with my right foot with this situation. Now, if we look at my right foot and find out there's something stuck in my foot that needs to come out, because and every time I walk on it's pushing it further and further into my foot, that's a problem. That's a problem. Systematic racism is a problem. And we're talking about it over and over again because of the fact that it's a problem. If it wasn't a problem, we wouldn't even talk about it. Rico, talk to me, brother.
That's correct. If it wasn't an issue that existed, then it wouldn't be an issue. You know, the thing is, man, is we're trying to answer a lot of the questions of the ills that not only affect this country, but affect our community. We have questions from within our community that even people from the outside have, like, why do Black people behave in such ways? Or why do those kids act out? Why they rapping and making music about killing each other and glorifying it and disrespecting those children's moms? And it comes back to systemic racism, the system. Well, you ask, how does that apply? Because those children have a choice to not make music like that. Well, if the entertainment industry says, well, for you to become a successful rapper and become a millionaire, a billionaire, achieve all these dreams, this is the type of content you need to rap about. Because this is what we demand and we require.
And if you rap about this type of stuff, or if you create something that the other people tend to find as a trend or picks up momentum, we'll pay you for that and make it valuable. The system creates that momentum, and then everybody else goes to it. So systemic racism has contributed to most of the dysfunctional behavior and activity in our community. The conditions that created, the conditions of poverty, the conditions of not having access, the conditions of providing resources to certain people, as long as they sacrifice or made the father expendable. Get him out that house and we'll give you a little bit of something.
Wow.
Oh, it's okay to do something strange for a piece of change. You want to take your clothes off? Well, come on, we just gonna make y'all acceptable now. We're gonna make y'all strippers cool. We're gonna make you dope dealers cool. We're gonna make y'all celebrities. We're gonna make you famous, and we're gonna make y'all economically viable. You're gonna become an option. Because all these other options, we're gonna try our best to make sure that we create obstacles to keep you from getting to them. That's the system that exists. Anti-black racism, white supremacy. So, you know, we trying to get to a point where we understand what systemic racism actually does impact every piece of our people activity, even when it comes to religion and politics, law, education, economic, sex, love, war, you name it.
30 seconds.
It affects us. And the minute everybody else realizes it, even we realize it, then we won't sound like black conservatives, like Paul said, because it does, some things we say does come off as black conservatism.
Good deal.
And
Good deal.
it dismisses systemic racism and the conditions that's created by it.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Mr. Hicks.
Yes, sir. Yes,
I want to talk right now. I want to talk. We got about 20. We got a little bit over 20 minutes. And I want to talk about solutions. How can we get to a solution? How can we collectively come together? Is it something that we have to do, or should we look outward for other people to help us as well in curing this ill that is systematic racism? 3 minutes.
No, it's an inside. It's an individual struggle. I think the solution lies in what Bill Cosby tried to do, and what different artists try to do, affecting the shape of the culture. I think the fear of Bill Cosby getting his hands on that media was enough for them to pull out everything they pull on him. Just because he was a guy that believed, he talked verbally about slagging your pants, about the discipline, about the culture, and he was an enemy of their whole plan. So I think that I listen to Kurt and these brothers with these different skills, and Captain, they are affecting the change of the culture in small ways that puts a ripple in this pond that vibrate out. I think that we need to do things like putting on plays in the community, putting on little plays and art, and putting art back in there. Where I live in this little small community, I see the absence of anything like that. Opportunity for kids to try to do some acting, read some of the classic plays, because you need that, because that's the basis of what you have to have a knowledge of it. But I think, and then after all of that stuff that you can do outside, we need to go into our closet and close the door. I don't know the scripture right. I'm sure we got enough people that know it. If my people who are called by name will humble themselves and repent of their wicked ways, that's where the change is going to come from, outside of this earth, from the Creator.
Wow.
There needs to be more prayer. There needs to be more prayer, period.
Good deal. Good deal. Badger, what's the solution? We're talking solution now, brother. 3 minutes.
Man, that I think is going to be the hardest thing, because from the things that I have learned, just in general, talking and personal, you're going to have the individuals that are in those situations having to figure out how to fight it. You've got another group of people that you've got to teach, that needs to be taught how to see it. You got another group of people that are still under the illusion that black people get more than white people. They have more access to things. there's so many variables on this that it's having to learn to see through the illusions and distractions, because you even got people out there going, well, what about black on black crime? And they'll throw things like that out there. So like this is a multifaceted problem.
Mm-hmm.
And it covers social media, it covers how a parent raises a child, how the community talks and communicates to one another. It's not just a one-way fix. It isn't at all. I mean, I told y'all what I was taught growing up.
Yeah.
So if you take that concept, I learned that it was false, that there was no truth to it. But I'm one out of thousands that might figure it out. And then you still are looking at millions that possibly could think that.
Mm-hmm. Wow. Wow.
So there's so much to this. Like me, I know systematic racism exists, and I work very hard of being an activist, of trying to relate to other people that, hey, this is real and we need to fix it.
Mm-hmm. Good deal. Good deal.
So,
Go ahead, brother. You got some more time?
So it's in the essence of, how do you teach folks that don't experience it, haven't seen it because they've never been taught how to see it,
Mm-hmm.
and do we consider them ignorant or stupid because they don't?
Wow.
Like it's I just feel that to solve or come to a solution, it's going to take white people working with white people, and then the more white people become aware of the race problem and we overcome the race problem, then we can start working on the class problems.
Mm-hmm. Wow. Good deal. Good deal. Willow, let's talk solutions, sister. What is a solution?
Well, Badger made a great point, because that's one way that it can change.
Mm-hmm.
Like Paul, for instance, he get on this podcast every day, and he understands. And when he actually really understands the issue, he'll be able to go into his environment and talk about it. But then on a larger scale, you would need somebody like Paul to say something. Because if you see somebody like me or Rico or you that would say something about it, all they would look at it is, oh, it's just another, oh, they just coming up again with another excuse about racism. But you need somebody like Paul or Badger that would go in and talk about it. To me, that's one solution.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Okay. Now, let me ask you this question, Willa, because you actually got 2 more minutes left. Are we to wait? Are we to wait until somebody else outside of our community make that move or put that effort in before we can understand or expect a change? Are we to wait on that?
No, you can't put all your eggs in one basket.
Mm-hmm.
That was just one solution.
Absolutely.
On the other end, we have to come up with our plans from our culture side and start to change things from the younger generation.
Mm-hmm.
So no, we don't wait.
Mm-hmm.
No, we got to keep adding to it.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
But that was just one solution that I thought that would kind of change something on that end.
Oh, absolutely. Good deal. Let's keep this thing going. Tucson, what is we talking solutions, brother? What is the solution to this thing called systematic racism?
We're waiting for somebody else to give you what, and I'm not saying nobody is,
Mm-hmm.
but we can't wait for somebody else to give us justice or whatever we're looking for.
Mm-hmm.
You take the James Brown approach. You open the door, I did it myself.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it's just, I'm kind of like, I think Leonard said, I don't do the we thing. Because if we wait on we ain't gonna do nothing.
Mm-hmm.
So individually, you start with you and your family, and you make a difference.
Yeah, that's good.
And I don't let nobody treat nobody. You can not from talk to me any kind of way, and you're not gonna treat me any kind of way.
Mm-hmm.
There's things that are already in place for you to overcome some of these situations.
Mm-hmm.
I just treat everybody the same way, and then I expect everybody to treat me a certain way, and that's it. They have no options.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Period. I don't care what title they have. So I'm careful, and then I tell my children the same thing.
Mm-hmm.
Don't look down when you're talking to a man.
Mm-hmm.
You got to be kidding me.
Exactly.
So anyway, it begins it's an individual choice.
Good deal. Good deal. Paul, what's on your heart, brother?
Good morning. So like a solution, I've had this discussion with conservatives, white conservatives, and people I would even consider white supremacists, and they say it's over. They say systemic racism is over. We have laws that protect marginalized people. And my response is always, well, the damage is there. Damage has been done. The systems are infected with the debris left over from all the hundreds of years of white supremacy, etc. And beyond that, it's like systems are made of people, right? So police departments are made of individuals. Some of those people are in white supremacist gangs. Companies are made out of individuals. Same thing. Every organization is made out of people. So the solution, in my mind, is like there's going to be no solution until we win the hearts and minds of people to realize that we're all human beings. There's no difference, and we need to respect each other. We need equal opportunity, equal rights. We need to redress the harms that have been done in the past. So that's my feeling on it. About Tariq Nasheed, look, I think the guy is bad. I think he's bad. Some people like him. Okay, that's fine. I think he promotes sexism. I think he promotes ideas that are harmful to women. I think he promotes homophobia. I think he promotes racism. And I think some of the things he says are absolutely false. He promoted the idea that what is it, pituitary gland or something like that? No, whatever gland.
Pituitary. You're right.
Yeah, he was saying like that makes black people superior, and it wasn't even the right gland. It wasn't even the right gland. He's promoting information that's just patently false.
30 seconds.
That's it.
Okay, good deal. Leonard?
So I mean, I feel like we got to win. We have to win. We have to. Part of the problem is we have to defeat internalized racism, as everyone has just said, so eloquently before. There's a lot of self-hate in the black community and the brown community.
Paul,
People who don't think they're good enough.
Paul,
we got to fight that.
Paul, okay, Paul, you're 3 minutes up, brother. Hold on. You ain't got to hang up. Hold on for a second. I got to keep it rotating. I was going to go to Leonard, but let me go to Goddess. Goddess, what's on your heart, sis?
I don't know if he was referring to me. I don't know if he was talking about the pineal gland. Is that what the gland you was talking about, sir?
Yes.
Okay. Well, let me explain to you. Read about the pineal gland. The pineal gland is where the melanin comes in from, and you need to read about the pineal gland, because pineal gland, certain people are born with it hardened.
Yes.
And calcified.
Calcified.
And
hold on, mistakes.
We are not born with ours calcified. Majority of us, is very few there is. And so with that being done, that's where our melanin mainly comes from. Not only does the pineal gland, it also opens up a different spiritual realm. So when you start studying that, then you can talk to me and tell me, but I know exactly what I'm talking about because I study that. I also study the fact about the God gene. It's called the Eve gene, the mitochondriac gene. That's the reason why they're taking our black wombs. They had one doctor that all he did throughout on the East Coast was he did surgical things and took out black women's wombs. Because we feature the mitochondriac gene. It's called the Eve gene, where we're able to have different color children. Like I am high yellow. My daughter is dark chocolate. I can have all color kinds of children. It's called the Eve gene. That's why you all came from us.
Okay.
Research it. I know what I'm talking about, sir.
Good deal. Good deal. Let's keep this thing going. We got a few more minutes before we get out of here. Man, we're tight on time. But Leonard, what's on your heart, brother?
You know, just listening, this is one of the main reasons why I do sit out of many conversations. Because one, I love a great argument, but on both sides must be facts as opposed to emotions. That's why I don't make, you'll never hear me say, well, 30% of such and such, not if I ain't did the research or actually referring to some type of document where the research has been done. Because I don't make those type of generalizations about everybody and accuse everybody something else just cause of a particular narrative that someone wants to satisfy. The notion that you are not doing this is where, like say, for instance, we have a conversation about a problem we have today, and then somebody want to go back 500 years ago. They really don't have nothing to do with why you at where you did it. It has nothing to do with it. Critical race theory is what explains systemic racism. This is why they don't want it taught. So if you want to stop a lot of systemic racism, you have to look at critical race theory to see how it became embedded in our system. Remove racism from our system, and it's one of the best things going on this planet. Removing racism. Another thing, you don't correct the Constitution. You amend the Constitution so it proves a record and it shows you the changes of what has happened. The fact that people don't want to believe things, are not concerned with things or whatever, it's not a distraction. It's because people can choose what they want to be interested in. Some people are more interested in moving forward in progress. I am an extreme conservative. I always will be, because I don't believe in casting things to the side as if they don't exist and don't have an impact of some type. So at least give it a decent study or a decent focus to find out how it plays a role in what is going on. When I started to get right back off the call when I got on, because I heard somebody recite one of the biggest myths in the world. Welfare was not a plot to put the black man out of the home. That's a lie. And you can sit there and you can believe that kind of crap if you want to, but talk to your grandparents if you still have them around and see why they together, despite the fact that welfare and everything else was there. Those people who decided not to participate in that type of system, they don't have those issues. I know people right now today lying about it just to get it. That's called hustling and scamming the system. It has nothing to do with how you choose a mate and how committed you are to your mate and what you all decide to come together and do. You know, first thing, I hear some people, Willie Lynch. Why give your destiny to some white farmer? You think some white farmer was smart enough to determine your entire destiny? You just might be inferior for that type of thinking.
Wow. Good deal. We got to keep it moving, Leonard. Got to keep it moving. Curtis, what's on your heart, brother? 3 minutes.
I have to disagree, although it's dead point, but I have to absolutely disagree. First off, welfare, blacks, period, was invented for white. Time when blacks couldn't even get welfare, couldn't draw welfare, was not even deemed appropriate to be given welfare. That's number one. Number two, the laws, the rules that each city administered, or the rules that was administered, came later when they started to remove. They placed rules that said that if there was a male in the house, that a woman could not get the services she needed. How do I know that? Because I was a product of that. One of the rules was placed in the Maryland Constitution, in the Baltimore City constitutional amendments, or whatever you want to call them. But that was deemed necessary. I remember seeing my father have to leave the house prior to the welfare case managers coming to view the house, coming to inspect the house. So that is not true. Now, the laws might speak something different, but that don't mean that they were carried out properly. But the truth of the matter, in terms of welfare was never designed for black people to even be approved to get it. That's number one. It's the same thing with the farmers' laws. You have black farmers who have more land than white farmers who are getting approved, who are getting denied assistance, where these white farmers are getting anywhere from $19 to $21 billion a year. That is all over the news, even to today, right? There's certain things that we are looking at, and on levels that we looking at them, that we not even seeing the forest past the trees. Now, I get what the brother is saying. The brother is saying you do have an element of those who are cheating the system. But once again, we are taking the minority of folks and applying what they're doing to be measured by all. And that is not the truth. That is so far from the truth. I don't get welfare. I don't get any kind of assistance.
Mm-hmm.
When I needed it, you know what? I got denied because I owned
You still got up earlier now. I'm about to walk out the door.
I literally got denied because I owned a Honda Accord, Raheem.
Wow.
You understand?
Mm-hmm.
When they offered assistance, they offered me assistance and told me that they was going to give me $32 a month and food stamps to feed me and my son.
Mm. Wow.
You understand? There's been a whole lot of things put out. Here's the solution. The solution is, I heard somebody talk about there's laws on the books. The solution is, if the laws are not carried out appropriately and fairly, then you will always have systemic racism into the play, because the systemic racism is being used to not carry out the laws fairly.
Good deal. Got to close it out, Curtis. Man, listen, we got sidetracked a lot today. We got sidetracked a lot. I was sitting back and I was watching and see where it's gonna go, and I let the ship steer itself today, just to see where it's gonna go and how it's gonna do this. We're gonna talk about this again at some point, and I'm gonna keep my hand a little tighter on the steering wheel, because a lot of things got out there today that had nothing to do with what we was talking about. I'm gonna get it. Systemic racism. Systemic racism, man. We're gonna have another conversation with this, and we're gonna talk about this thing and talk about it in depth and stay on task. And I'm gonna tell y'all this. Y'all might not like me after that particular broadcast, because every time somebody get off task, I'm gonna step in. I'm gonna stop you from talking. I'm gonna move to somebody else, because we have to stay focused on if we're gonna get to a solution, we got to stay on point of what we're talking about. And every time we get sidetracked, every time we bring something different in, it takes us off track. Then we got to try to fight, get back on track to what we was talking about, and that takes away from the time. We got 3 hours, 3-hour show, but that's certainly, you all know and understand, that's not enough time for us to talk about this in depth as we need to. So please don't take it personal. I love each and every one of you. Y'all know that. But every time somebody throws something in there that has nothing, we talk about this again, and we will. Every time somebody says something about that has nothing to do with what we're talking about, I'm gonna stop you talking, mute your line or whatever, and move to somebody else that's going to stay on task. We have to get to a solution. Can we do it? Can we do it here? I don't know, but we have to have an effort. We have to put together a conscious effort to get it done and to talk about it and stay focused on what we're talking about, so we can get to some kind of a solution. We got this. We went a lot of different ways today. We did not stay on task. We did not. And a part of that, I take responsibility. A part of that is my fault because I allowed it to happen. But next time I won't. Okay. Rico, what's going on at 3 o'clock today, sir?
If you missed today's broadcast and would like to hear us see the rebroadcast in its entirety, you can tune in at 3 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on www.dklmediagroup.com.
Good deal. Good deal. Now, anybody have anything they want to say real quickly before we get out of here? Because I'm going to call her name, and you know she here. You know she here.
Hey, you asked a question about a solution.
Mm-hmm.
I want to say, first off, acknowledge that systemic racism exists, and then rebel against those aspects of the system that makes it exist, and then lead by example on trying to build a community. If you don't know how to build a community or even understand the purpose of building a community, look up Faruq Hunter, Faruq Hunter. He has started his own community in Georgia, Atlanta, I believe, or somewhere on the outskirts of Atlanta. And he has also started a Black community on the border of China and Kazakhstan. He's a regular brother like me from Tuskegee, Alabama, that led by example and put his foot on the ground and did what he's supposed to do because he knew how to build a community. So if we want to find out how to build a community and we need an example, if we can't lead by example ourselves, check out that brother, Faruq Hunter.
Absolutely. Anybody else have anything? We're going to call her name and you know she's ready. I believe she's ready. Hold on. Is she here? What? Whoa!
Yeah, I'm here, Rodney.
No, I was a little worried about you now. I called your name. You ain't answer. Let me do it again. Let me do it again. Willow!
Come on, Raheem, let's go.
Are you ready?
Raheem?
Yes.
I am so ready.
Well, you know what?
See the word of God.
Well, you know what, Willow? You know what? Let's go.
Let's go, Raheem. Let's go. Let's go to the throne of grace this morning with boldness, with expectation. Father, we thank you so much for allowing us to get up, commune one to another, being on one accord this morning. Father, we just thank you, Lord. Father, we thank you, Lord, for being our Alpha and our Omega. Father, we're asking for change. And we're asking you to lead us in the right direction. Father, we believe that you would do it. We believe that you orchestrate and plan those things in our lives. So, Father, we're asking you to allow the Holy Spirit to dwell in each and every last one, that they'll come back with a praise report because they know it was only you that allowed them to do it. Father, we thank you so much for being a keeper, for being a comforter, for being a healer. Father, we thank you for the power that you bestow on each and every last one of us. Father, keep Raheem safe, Lord. Regulate his mind. Give us some direction, some guidance, some wisdom, and some understanding. We thank you for this show, Lord. We thank you for allowing us to be on one accord together each and every day. We thank you, Lord. Hallelujah. In Christ Jesus' name. Amen, amen, amen.
Amen. Amen. It's been a good broadcast. Even though I said we did get off track a little bit, I think we still covered a lot. We still covered a lot today, and like I said, I enjoyed it. But like I said, a couple of things that we did do, we got off course a couple of times. But I think a lot of the conversation was very beneficial. I think people learned different things, and we put a lot of stuff out there today. And so thank each and every one of you, man. I thank you. I don't think I'm getting on you because I'm not, man. Because if we got sidetracked, I'm supposed to be the one steering the vehicle, so I take responsibility for that. But next time we do this, we'll stay a little more on task. Fair enough? Good deal, good deal. All right, it is now 10:09. I want to thank everybody for joining us. And more than that, I want to thank you for allowing DK Media Group and Associates and the Morning Glow for being a part of your morning. It is now 10:09. You're about to exit the Morning Glow, but before you go, I want you to do me two favors, if you will. One, I want you to continue to pray for us because we're certainly praying for each and every one of you. Number two, why this is real simple. I want you to go out there, find somebody, and give them a hug. Because you never know. It could be the only hug that they get, or it could very well be their last. Love you, and ain't nothing you can do about it. Have a great day and a better tomorrow. And then we shine some of this light on you for the Morning Glow. Take it out there into this wicked and cruel world that we live in, and let your light so shine. If you get an opportunity, give somebody some love. You just might find some love in return. Won't that be a beautiful thing? Have a great day. Take care of each other, and please, please, please be blessed. See you in the morning. God say the same. Have a great evening. Love ya.